Shout out chat, shout out chat, shout out chat. Let's see if everything is in order. You knows I'm here. Y'all knows I'm already here, gang. Y'all know who came to work today. Shout out chat. Yeah, everything is in order on this side, man. Everything is in order on this side. Shout out you guys. Be sure I get them subs up if you guys are new to the channel. Okay. Bro, this guy's doing interviews with Jeffrey Epstein. Today has been a very sad day for Aries Spears. He thought life was a joke. Bro, what can we watch? What can we watch? I wanna watch some wildlife things. Seven levels of street footballers. How is Ronaldo level 3 and Neymar level 7? This is interesting. Let's tap in. This is interesting, intriguing. I want to see what they're going to say.
Get yourself much more with Cadbury Lunch Bar.
Level 1. Not their game. This video is not about tactics. It's not about defensive output, positional discipline, or even success.
Shout out you guys, what's popping? It's your boy FIENT, Donasekaisi 1496. If you guys are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to the channel. We drop content daily and we go live every
Successful careers. This is about what happens when a player receives the ball and decides to make something beautiful with it. The expression, the improvisation, trait.
At this late night afternoon, just a young Yana stream, just gonna watch a couple of videos content, and I'm gonna call it a day because I still gotta I got a live stream tomorrow.
The modern game is doing its best to coach out of existence. And we start with two players who, for completely different reasons, don't fit the description. Kevin De Bruyne, one of the great...
De Bruyne is not much of a dribbler, but midfield-wise, passing-wise, still one of the greatest. Shout out, y'all. Be sure to get themselves up. It's your boy FIENT, Donasekaisi 1496. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to the channel. We drop content daily and we go live every single day. Now let's tap in.
Greatest midfielders who ever lived. A decade of elite level performance that redefined what a playmaker could produce in the Premier League. And a level 1 street footballer. De Bruyne does not express himself with the ball. He solves problems with it. Every touch has a destination. Every movement is productive. Watch him for 90 minutes and
nobody's touching De Bruyne.
You will see genius, but you will not see a moment done because it felt good. That is one type of level 1. A player whose brilliance exists on a completely different frequency. The other type is more complicated. Marcus Rashford has the toolkit. The step over surfaces occasionally.
He has a toolkit. What the fuck you mean the boy got a toolkit?
Elastico here and there when the angle opens. At his peak at Manchester United, there were moments. The burst of pace, the directness, the occasional improvised finish that suggested something more expressive was possible. But it never became a language. It stayed as punctuation. A street footballer is not someone who attempts the skill. It is someone who lives inside it. Rashford visits occasionally, but he never stays for long. Level 2. The efficient genius. The most technically gifted player ever to play the game. Lionel Messi could perform every move in this video. The elastico, the rainbow flick, the no-look pass, the skill chain. He has the close control, the balance, the improvisational instinct.
Putting Messi number 2 is also wild. Putting Messi number 2, like that shit is wild.
He simply chooses not to. Messi's expression is not flair, it is efficiency. He walks through entire passages of play, conserving his brilliance for the moment it delivers the highest return. No wasted movement. No moment done for the feeling of it. There is moments, and there is one clear exception. In 2007, against Getafe in the Copa del Rey. 19 years old, he collected the ball in his own half, nutmegged a defender, left 4 more in his wake across 55 meters, rounded the goalkeeper, and slid it into the net. 12 seconds, 6 players. It had a playground feeling over it. The kind of goal you attempt at age 12 in the park because nobody has told you it is impossible yet. The entire Camp Nou rose. A street footballer plays like the game is an experience. Messi plays like it is a problem to be optimized. That is more calculated genius than it is instinctive and expressive street type of football. Level 3. The optimized. Street football begins with instinct and ends with expression. The players at this level started there and then chose to leave. Cristiano Ronaldo at 18 had stepovers that worked. They were not only performance and showboating, they were identity. The young Ronaldo arrived in England and took the Premier League apart with...
Do you guys believe Messi and Ronaldo deserve to be number 2? Like, well, Messi's high, well, Ronaldo's higher, so yeah. And Messi is like on level, but this is like street football, like it gets deeper. I think Messi is like the highest when it comes to like dribbling, but when it comes to like street football in its essence, like nah.
Flair that belonged in a futsal court. Defenders fell over, crowds rose. It was the purest expression of a player who had learned the game with no tactical instruction, only his own imagination as the limit. Then something changed. He built himself. The sprint work, the heading practice, the positional evolution. He replaced instinct with mastery and emerged as the greatest goal scorer who ever lived. The bicycle kicks still come, a flash of the old identity curated for the right moment. The simple and performative no-look passes surface occasionally, timed for maximum theatrical impact. He didn't lose the expression, he packaged it. Zlatan Ibrahimovic made the same journey from a different starting point.
But you can't compare Zlatan and Ronaldo though. Those are just 2 levels of experience. Or what do y'all think? Do you think this guy's on the same level? Nah, he's not on the same level.
The bicycle kick against England in 2012, struck from 30 yards in the air, was a street footballer's decision. No professional analysis produces that attempt. Instinct did. Pure, unfiltered instinct from a player who grew up playing futsal in Malmo, who learned the game through improvisation rather than instruction. But Zlatan was also a professional project. He optimized his body, his positioning, his movement. He left nothing to chance that could be prepared for. The expression remained as a tool, pulled out when the moment demanded something no one else could produce. Street football lives in the moment. Zlatan borrowed from it selectively. At level 3, both players represent the same journey. Raw expression disciplined into elite performance. The flair was still there into old age. It just started reporting to a higher authority. Level 4. The unpredictable. Now the structure starts to break. The players here have not optimized the flair out of their game. It still surfaces when it wants to, in the form it chooses on its own schedule. Paul Pogba, in full flow, was one of the most visually striking midfielders in modern football. The diagonal from 40 yards that arrived perfectly on a winger's chest. The drag back in tight central areas that bought half a second nobody else would have found. The elastico, delivered not because it was the most efficient solution, but because it was the most elegant one available. When the structure around him supported that expression, the results were spectacular. When it did not, the expression still came, just without the platform to justify it. Dele Alli at his peak was improvisation made into a career. The Crystal Palace goal in January 2016. Eriksen's header dropped to him. He controlled it on his instep, flicked it over the defender's head before the defender had processed what was happening, and volleyed it low into the corner from 20 yards. BBC goal of the season.
Boom closed on your car? Good thing you're naked and can submit claims in minutes on the Naked app. Get naked.
What happens with Dele Alli?
Mr. Kid is the...
Then, in November 2019, against West Ham, he slipped to the ground with the ball about to go out of play, backheeled it from the floor into Son's path, and Son crossed for the goal. Afterwards, he said, "I lost my footing and I knew I had to put the ball in anyway." That sentence is the definition of street football. Decisions made in the fraction of a second when instinct takes over and the coached response disappears. The expression was real. The game eventually demanded consistency from it. That is where the story gets complicated. Young Wayne Rooney belongs here for a completely different reason than any of the previous players. On
How do these guys like come up with this list, bro? Like, it's kind of crazy how they come up with this list, bro.
April 24th, 2005, 19 years old, he was arguing with the referee when a headed clearance dropped into his path 25 yards from goal. Seconds after the argument, still wound up, he turned and hit a volley past Shay Given that threatened to burst the net. There was no calculation. There was frustration converted instantly into instinct. A street fighter's instinct. His expression was never silky. It was raw aggression channeled through talent. A player who backed himself completely in the moment because backing himself was the only mode he had. The dipping volleys, the improvised finishes under pressure, the refusal to back out of any physical duel. A different kind of street. Not the futsal court. The concrete cage where self-belief is the only currency. Level 5. The entertainers. This is where the game starts to feel different. The players here are not expressing themselves within the structure of the game, they are using the game as the structure for their expression. Ricardo Quaresma built an entire career around one skill that should not be physically possible. The trivela, a strike with the outside of the boot that generates swerve no goalkeeper can anticipate, is not a technique that emerges from coaching. It comes from somewhere else. From hours alone with a ball, discovering what it will do when struck a certain way, and then deciding to do it in a World Cup. Against Iran in 2018, with a defender blocking his natural foot and a left foot cross the only conventional option, Quaresma played a 1-2 with Adrian Silva, manufactured a yard of space, and hit a trivela into the top corner. Man of the match at 34, at his first World Cup. Mourinho once told him he needed to stop hitting the ball with the outside of his foot. Quaresma nodded and carried on. Hatem Ben Arfa had the closest thing to pure street DNA of any player who reached the elite level in the Premier League era. The dribble against Bolton in 2011, taking on 5 players from his own half, changing direction 3 times inside 5 yards, finishing calmly, was not planned. Ben Arfa played in flow state. When it came, he was untouchable. When it wasn't there, he was invisible. Ben Arfa had the gift, but could not always access it on demand. That is the street footballer's fundamental tension. The expression is real, but it cannot be scheduled. Adel Taarabt belongs here because in one extraordinary season at QPR in the Championship and a handful of nights in Serie A, what he produced was not football as a profession. It was football as a personal statement. In 2010-11, he scored 19 goals and contributed 21 assists in 44 games, won Championship Player of the Year, and single-handedly dragged QPR to the title. Not through fitness or tactical discipline, through tricks, feints, and an almost contemptuous ease with the ball in tight spaces. Step-overs, turns that manufactured time where there was none, in a second division match because the conventional option simply did not interest him. The following season in the Premier League, the game demanded something different from him. A loan to Fulham ended when the club sent him back, reportedly unfit. That story is the entire Taarabt paradox in one sentence. A player whose relationship with the ball was extraordinary and whose relationship with everything else was complicated. Taarabt in flow was art. It simply did not arrive often enough to define a career. The streets remember him. They always will. Lamine Yamal at 17 is the most naturally expressive player of his generation, and the most important one in this entire video. In the Champions League semi-final against Inter in 2025, Barcelona were 2-0 down inside 21 minutes. Inter had 3 players dedicated to limiting him. He attempted more dribbles than all of his Barcelona teammates combined. Then he shrugged off a challenge, glided into the box, and bent a curling effort in off the left-hand post to pull his side back into it. Inter's manager, Simone Inzaghi, said afterwards, "Lamine is the kind of talent that comes along every 50 years. He was 17. His expression has not been coached out of him, despite playing in the most tactically demanding environment in European football. That is the test. Not whether the talent exists, but whether the system eventually removes it."
Why are bananas wrapped in plastic?
Steve, that's a question that's been haunting you.
Find out why on What's the Difference?
Level 6. The Street Icons. JJ Okocha redefined what entertainment at the elite level could look like. In January 2004, in a League Cup semi-final against Aston Villa, he scored 2 free kicks in a 5-2 win. The second boomeranged around the wall from an angle that geometrically should not have produced a goal. Earlier that season, against Arsenal in a Premier League match, Bolton had come back from 2-0 down to draw. Football had to accommodate them rather than the other way around. Level 7. The Pure Expression. They didn't just play the game, they made it their own by being themselves. Ronaldinho. The 2002 World Cup quarter-final against England when he chipped Seaman from the corner arc. Whether that was a cross or a shot does not matter. The debate is the point. A player who could produce something whose intent was genuinely ambiguous because his relationship with the ball existed on a frequency observation cannot fully decode. The no-look pass that arrived before the receiver had started the run. The Elastico, a trick he was largely responsible for bringing into mainstream football, that moved at a speed that made it look like physics had briefly been suspended. The smile, the genuine, unperformable smile that was there whether the trick came off or not, because the attempt was the point. Joga Bonito was not a Nike campaign for Ronaldinho. It was a documentary. Joy was not a byproduct of his performance, it was the engine of it. Neymar, Santos, Barcelona, and even more so at PSG when the tactical constraints loosened and he operated from whichever position he felt like, carried street football into elite environments that should have eliminated it. The rainbow flicks in Champions League knockout matches not as desperation, as preference. The skill chains at speed where the next movement was genuinely unpredictable to every defender, analyst, and occasionally teammate. In February 2020, PSG were beating Montpellier 5-0 when Neymar attempted a rainbow flick and the referee warned him to stop. He argued back and collected a yellow card. In the tunnel at half-time, he said, "I play football and he gives me a yellow card." He posted on Instagram afterwards, "I just play football." That is the modern game's relationship with street football in one incident. The expression was not occasional, it was continuous, and the system could not decide whether to celebrate it or punish it. From the player who executes the game
Let's not get it fucked up. Nemo's the goat. Your baby mom ain't even post a single. I'm with Noel like I'm Chris Tinger. Where she at? Where she at? Was never really gangster. I mean, you can tell it's. You can tell that. Who's this?
Let me be real with you for a second. When most people hear the name NLE Choppa, they picture a young dreadhead from Memphis screaming on a drill beat, throwing up gang signs, talking about the streets like he bled on them. And that image, it worked. It worked so well that this kid went from posting videos in his mama's driveway to selling out shows, signing $1 million deals, and becoming one of the most talked about names in rap. All before he was old enough to legally buy a drink. But here's what nobody talks about. NLE Choppa didn't grow up in the trenches. He grew up in a house, a nice house, in the suburbs of Memphis with his mom and his dad, who all, by the way, still happily married, and a brother he openly loves and supports. He had stability. He had 2 parents. He had a lawn. And yet he built an entire rap career off an image that screamed the total opposite of everything his real life looked like. And I'm not saying that to clown him. I'm saying it because the story of how Bryson LaShawn Potts, this suburban kid from a good home, manufactured one of the most believable street images in recent rap history, then completely abandoned it, then tried to find himself in nature and spirituality, then panicked when his numbers dropped and ran straight back to the streets, then reinvented himself as the second coming of Tupac. That story is genuinely one of the most fascinating identity journeys in hip-hop over the last decade. So today we're going to go through every single phase, from the suburbs, to the block, to the blogs, to the crystals, to the conspiracy theories, to whatever he is right now. Because understanding how NLE Choppa faked it, and then try to figure out who he actually was underneath the performance, tells you a lot about this generation of rap and what it actually takes to survive in it. Let's start from the very beginning. Bryson LaShawn Potts was born on November 1st, 2002 in Memphis, Tennessee. And when people hear Memphis, they immediately think of one thing: some of the most raw, unfiltered, violent rap music ever made. 3 6 Mafia, Young Dolph, Yo Gotti. Memphis has this mythology around it. This idea that if you come from there, you come from somewhere hard. And that mythology matters to the story because Choppa knew it too. He grew up in that city surrounded by that legacy, but his actual day-to-day life, it did not match the mythology at all. His parents, his mom Angeletta and his father, were together, still are. That's genuinely rare in this industry where so many artists lean on the absent father narrative as part of their story. Choppa didn't have that. He had a 2-parent household, a stable home environment, and by all accounts, parents who were actually present and supportive. His mom especially has been a visible, constant figure in his life. She's shown up in his content, she's spoken publicly about him.
Bro faked an entire image. Forward. The economics of owning a casino. Okay, this actually looks interesting. Shout out.
Let Amplify take you where ordinary doesn't dare go.
Like I'm Chris Kring.
Okay, so you want to buy a casino. Find a building, hire the dealers, watch the chips come in. But here's the strange part. A casino is the only legal business in the world where math guarantees you a profit on every single dollar that walks through the door. And it's also the business where the smartest, richest operators on the planet keep going bankrupt anyway. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how that's possible, how casinos actually make money on the inside, why having a mathematical edge on every bet still isn't enough to guarantee a profit, and why a casino isn't really the business most people think it is. Casinos come in 3 sizes, and they're 3 completely different businesses. A small regional casino in Colorado costs $2 to $5 million. For that money, you get a few dozen slot machines, a couple of tables, a bar, and a parking lot full of locals showing up the first of every month to lose their grocery money.
Yeah.
A mid-sized property runs you $500 million to $1 billion. Think Borgata in Atlantic City, opened in 2003 for $1.1 billion. A real hotel, real restaurants, customers driving in from neighboring states. And then there's the Vegas Strip, where the price tag starts getting silly. The Cosmopolitan opened in 2010 for $3.9 billion and is still the most expensive resort ever built on the Strip. But the building is just the start. Two more costs nobody warns you about. The first is the license. In Vegas, around $770,000 a year. In New York, just applying costs $20 to $50 million. No guarantee. You're basically buying a lottery ticket where the prize is permission to spend a few more billion. The second is geopolitics. Macau in southern China is the biggest casino market on Earth. $28 billion in 2024, more than 3 times the entire Vegas Strip. But the Macau government issues exactly 6 concessions for the whole city. The next round of bidding is in 2032, or you could try North Korea. Kim Jong-un is currently looking for an investor to finish the Rugyong.
Be sure to get them subs up. It's your boy FIENT Tonasekasi 1496. We are live and logged in. Next week, Friday, new album is dropping as well, gang. So be sure to check it out.
Hotel in Pyongyang. A 105-floor building they started in 1987 and somehow have not finished in 38 years. Pay for the interior, you get the casino license. Estimated cost, another $2 billion on top of the $750 million already buried. Even the most isolated dictatorship on the planet understands that a casino is just a foreign currency vacuum with a roof on it. Now we get to the question that actually matters. Where does the money come from? Every game in a casino is mathematically rigged, not in a cheating sense. The cards are real, the wheel is honest, the dice are clean. It's the rules that are rigged. The structure of every game guarantees that the casino wins more than the player over time. Always. The industry has a name for this, the house edge. Easiest way to picture it. Imagine you and I bet on a coin flip. Heads, you win $1. Tails, I win $1. That's a fair bet. Zero edge. Now I change one rule. Heads still pays you $1, but tails I take $1 and a nickel. Same coin, same flip, but now every time we play on average I keep 5 cents. Boring on one bet. Catastrophic over 1 million bets. That 5 cents is the house edge. Every casino game is just a different version of the same trick. Roulette is the cleanest example. European roulette has 37 numbers. If you bet $100 on a single number and win, the casino pays you $3,500. But the actual odds of hitting your number are 36 to 1, not 35 to 1. So you should have been paid $3,600. That missing $100 is the house's cut. Looks like nothing. But multiply it by 1,000 players a day, every day for 30 years. Now look at American roulette. Same wheel, same payout, same rules, except they added one extra slot. The 00. By adding a single pocket, the casino doubled its edge from 2.7% to 5.26%. The player at the table cannot tell the difference. The math notices every single time. But roulette isn't where the money lives. The real story is slots. Slot machines run a house edge of 5 to 15%. And here's the part that breaks people's brains. The cheaper the machine, the higher the edge. Penny slots, the ones Grandma feeds her change into all afternoon, those are running 12 to 15%. Per dollar wagered, Grandma is statistically the most profitable customer in the entire building. She's giving the casino 30 times more than a millionaire playing blackjack at the high-limit table, where the edge is just 0.5%. That's why if you walk onto any Vegas Strip casino floor, the first thing you'll see is a sea of slot machines. In 2024, slot machines alone brought the Strip $4.9 billion. That's more than every table game combined.
So we just rehabilitating this riverbank. It was washed in the last year's floods.
Okay, so that's the math. Now the architecture. You've probably been in a casino. Notice anything missing? There are no windows anywhere. There are no clocks on the walls. The carpet patterns are subtly designed to push your eyes upward toward the slot machines. The walk from any table to the exit deliberately passes 10 more rows of slots, just in case you have anything left in your pocket. The industry has a term for all of this: engineered immersion. The goal isn't to win your money once. The goal is to keep you inside with no time reference until the math has time to do its work. And then there's the most surgical customer retention system ever invented in any industry, the Players Club card. When you walk into a casino, they offer you a free card. You insert it into the slots, hand it to the dealer, and from that moment on, every bet you make is tracked. From that data, they calculate something called your theoretical loss. Bet $10,000 over an evening at a 5% edge. Your theoretical loss is $500. The casino then gives you back 5 to 10% of that number. Free dinner, free hotel room, free drink. In 2024 alone, Vegas Strip casinos gave away $4.4 billion in this stuff. They didn't lose that money, they invested it. Every comp is a calculated expense to keep you in the building, so the math...
Like people never do the math, though. I be sitting down and doing the math on this shit, bro.
...has more time to work on you. And at the very top of this pyramid sit the whales. Roughly 0.1% of all casino customers account for over 25% of a total casino revenue. 1 in 1,000 customers generates a quarter of the entire industry's money. A good example is Dana White. He plays $25,000 per hand at blackjack, won $2 million one weekend at the Palms, came back, won another $1.6 million. The casino banned him. Caesars and Bellagio still let him play, though. Why? Because the rest of the time, whales lose enormous amounts of money. The math always wins eventually. The whale always comes back. That's why a casino will fly a whale on a private jet from anywhere in the world, give them the penthouse for free, send a Michelin chef to their suite. Spending $500,000 to host one whale for the weekend is rational when their expected loss is $10 million. So here's the whole revenue model in one sentence. House edge multiplied by volume, multiplied by time, multiplied by repeat visits. And every single thing in the building exists to maximize one of those 4 numbers. So with all this, guaranteed math, billions in revenue, customers literally engineered to lose, why do casino owners ever lose money themselves? The short answer is everything else. Out of every dollar of gaming revenue, about 70 to 80 cents is gone before you see anything. A typical strip casino runs on a 25 to 33% net margin. So, out of $1 billion in revenue, you keep around $250 to $330 million. Where does the rest go? About a third disappears into payroll. A strip resort employs 3,000 to 8,000 people. Another big chunk goes to taxes. Nevada is friendly at 6.75% of gaming revenue. Macau takes 40% off the top. Pennsylvania over 50% on slots. And then there's the stuff most people never think about. The costs that come from the casino actually being a casino. A Vegas property has more cameras per square meter than most prisons. Every table, every cashier, every escalator, every parking spot is on 24/7 watch, with a separate surveillance department that does nothing else. Then there are the cards themselves. Every strip casino swaps fresh decks onto each table every 4 to 8 hours to prevent marking, which adds up to millions of brand new decks thrown out every single year. The Bellagio keeps over $150 million in physical cash inside the building at all times, and the insurance and logistics for that alone cost millions. Drinks pour by the tens of thousands every day, not out of generosity, but because a slightly drunk gambler bets bigger and stays longer. And drunk gamblers fall, fight, and lose money they decide must be somebody else's fault, which is why casinos get sued more often than doctors and pay liability premiums that climb every year. The math gives you a guaranteed top line. Everything below it is a fist fight. That fist fight is where most casino owners lose, and it has a small set of repeat patterns.
When it comes to moving money, why does it feel like a maze?
Casinos can fail for a lot of reasons, but two mistakes show up over and over again, and almost every famous casino bankruptcy in modern history boils down to one of them. Mistake 1. Too much debt. In 1990, Donald Trump opened the Trump Taj Mahal in Atlantic City and called it the 8th wonder of the world. He financed it with $675 million in junk bonds at 14% interest. Just to service the debt, the casino had to generate nearly $100 million a year before any other expenses. 6 months after opening, it missed its first bond payment. By 1991, it was in bankruptcy. Don't build a casino on debt that needs the building to be perfect from day one. No casino is perfect from day one. Mistake 2. Wrong product for the market. This one has killed a lot of buildings. In 2012, a $2.4 billion property called Revel opened in Atlantic City, built for Wall Street executives instead of bus trip retirees. They banned smoking on the gaming floor. No buffet, no players club. In the gambling world, that's roughly like opening a fitness club and banning sweat. The hedge fund crowd never showed up. The retirees they'd alienated never came. Closed 2 years later, sold for $82 million. 3 cents on the dollar. In 2016, Lucky Dragon opened off the Vegas Strip, a $160 million boutique casino built entirely for Asian customers. Asian language signage, feng shui interiors, no 4th floor. Turned out, Asian high rollers who flew to Vegas wanted Vegas, the fountains, the spectacle, the chaos. Not a smaller version of what they'd left at home. Closed 14 months later. Sold for $36 million. If you're going to build a $2 billion building, make sure somebody actually wants to be inside it. Step back for a second. The economics of this industry are paradoxical. A casino has the most reliable revenue mechanism in business. There's no other industry where the math guarantees the top line so cleanly. A bakery doesn't know how many croissants it'll sell tomorrow. A casino knows almost exactly how much its slot machines will hold this year, give or take a few %. And yet casino operators go bankrupt at rates that would embarrass a tech startup. Why? Because the math only works at scale and over time. Every casino takes years to pay back its construction. The house edge is rigid. You can't raise it in a bad year, which means everything outside the math has to also be perfect. Your debt, your costs, your country, your timing, the mathematical floor is bulletproof. Everything you build on top of it isn't. The whole industry is essentially the same trade. Guaranteed revenue against unguaranteed everything else. Survive 20 years of that, and the rewards are some of the largest fortunes ever built. Time to pull it all together and answer the actual question. How much money do you make if you do this right? 2 scenarios, real numbers. Scenario 1, $5 million in Colorado. A small regional casino. Annual gaming revenue, about $10 million. After all operational costs, your real profit is around $2 million a year. Payback, 3 years. Not glamorous, recession resistant. The most boring American business with the word casino in it. Scenario 2, $1 billion in Las Vegas, a full strip resort. 2,000 hotel rooms, 100 tables, 3,000 slot machines. Annual revenue, $900 million. And here's a fun fact most people miss. Only 1/3 of that comes from gambling. The other 2/3 is hotel, restaurants, shows, conventions. A modern strip casino is barely a casino. It's a resort that uses gambling as the loss leader to pull customers in. Net profit after everything, $250 million a year. Add another $50 million if your engineered immersion is dialed in. Payback, 4 years. Then you're earning $300 million a year. And if you survive long enough, you become something specific. Sheldon Adelson started buying casinos in 1988. By the time he died in 2021, he was worth $35 billion, one of the largest fortunes in American history. His company, Las Vegas Sands, makes around $32 million in revenue every single day, more than the entire annual revenue of most US casinos combined. So if you do decide to buy a casino, just remember the most important rule of this business. The house always wins. Just make sure you're the house.
Shout out to Ashana, what's good?
Hello? Babalos, is Shaylee. I was going through your pockets
Good,
and
Hashan.
found...
That's good, boy. Don't gamble, guys. Shout out you guys. Be sure to get them. Don't gamble, Buffett. Just don't gamble. There's nothing glorious. There's nothing glamorous about gambling, guys. There's absolutely nothing dope about that. So don't do it. Oh God, don't do it, guys. Just make your money and stay away from gambling, boy. It's highly addictive.
Take a look at your feed.
Some of them are like making like 20.
Bro, like I'm a huge Drake fan, but one thing I don't agree with is like the gambling. I don't agree with the gambling, bro. I know.
20K a month, just clip it.
You need to put as many clips on TikTok as you can.
There's a good chance at least one of those clips was quietly paid for by an offshore casino. But how? The algorithm is supposed to show me what I like, and at least the ads that I see are clearly labeled, but behind the scenes, a gambling empire is running a massive ad campaign in a way that no regulator will ever be able to stop. But again, how? Well, they built an army of paid editors around the world called Clippers, and they've been using streamers as the front to flood your feed with secret ads without having to tell you. And so really, you'd have no idea if I'm being used as a front right now. I'm not. But anyways, normalizing gambling for kids is just half the story, because the same playbook is now spreading to every single industry. From the biggest creator on the planet to entire industries like Hollywood or big tech, they're all using Clippers to manufacture attention, but they're not just spending billions to decide your favorite song or movie. No, what they're really paying for is dominance. Because once you can manufacture attention at scale, it's the most efficient way to control what people see, what they talk about, and what they think is real. That's exactly what gambling has figured out first, and now everyone is racing to do the same. So I followed the money, interviewed the biggest clipper in the world, mapped out exactly how this works and what will happen in the future. And what I found is that this
Okay, so you want to buy a casino. Find a building.
It was going to be about something completely different. Turns out it wasn't. I'm not your regular rap guy putting in work at the sweatshop. The billionaire franchise left to I don't know why they let Ben 10 die. I don't know why they did that to Ben 10, bro. Ben 10 was a dope superhero. Who's this genius everyone needs?
A dead body will you occupy countries, bomb civilians, kill more children, letting history take its course into the graves of the nameless. Over my dead body will you erode the very freedoms you have claimed to fight for. Over my dead body will you supply weapons and funding to the annihilation of families on foreign soil. It is not simply an idea that one should be willing to die for their beliefs or principles, but rather that there are hundreds of...
I thought we were talking about art.
Hey, folks. Hey folks, today is Friday, May 2nd, 2026. As usual, my name is Jake Baldino, here to talk about all the video game news that has been going on this week. It's a pretty stacked week, a lot of big things, a lot of quick big things. The first story involving a big fat Ubisoft L. Ubisoft apparently, according to them, like right from the horse's mouth, doing some like, you know, reporting.
Let's see what we have here. Shout out chat. Emini umuntu ukunda manje bafethu. Ukunda nini vele? Maybe I'll go get my hair cut before we do this thing I was planning on doing. Damn, bro, where the fuck is Code at? Why did Dybala fail at Juventus?
Is Paulo Dybala.
Dybala was one of the greatest.
This guy's name is Paulo Dybala. He was the next global superstar at Juventus, the heir to Argentina after Lionel Messi, a future Ballon d'Or contender, and one of the most promising forwards that Juventus has ever had. So how does a player with so much potential end up failing in his career? See, Paulo Dybala had a problem. Before Europe knew his name, Paulo Dybala was already seen as a special talent in Argentina. At his old club in Argentina, he broke records as a teenager and quickly attracted attention from big clubs in Europe. And eventually, Palermo came calling. Palermo signed him in 2012 on a 4-year deal for 8.6 million euros, and he was only 18 years old at the time. The Palermo president stated, "They've got Paulo Dybala, the new Sergio Aguero." That was a huge statement and honor for Dybala, being compared to Aguero himself. And that was when Aguero was destroying the Premier League. Now Dybala had a major breakthrough in the 2014-15 season, scoring 13 goals and 10 assists, making him one of the top assisters in the league. Those are...
I also like Dybala, but the problem with Dybala, especially in like football games, he's very slow. Like he's not a very fast player, he's very slow.
Big numbers for a 20-year-old. And that's really where the big football clubs started realizing that Paulo Dybala had the potential to be world class. But nobody moved faster than Juventus. Juventus immediately made their intentions clear with Paulo Dybala wanting to sign him. Juventus was going through a bit of a transition. They had just come out of a huge loss in the Champions League final, losing to MSN's Barcelona. That was a scary Barcelona team. And key players like Tevez, Pirlo, and Arturo Vidal were leaving the club. Juventus had to make big statement signings signings, and Dybala was the perfect match. So, Juventus made their move. In 2015, Juventus signed Paulo Dybala on a 5-year deal for around 32 million euros. He was appointed the number 21 shirt, previously worn by big players like Andrea Pirlo and Zinedine Zidane. It felt like the beginning of something huge for Dybala, because Juventus wasn't just buying a prospect. They believed they were buying their next global icon. He had so much potential to reach the big stages, and he did not disappoint. His first seasons were incredible. During his first 16 games for the club, Dybala managed 6 goals and 2 assists, scoring a goal every 151 minutes. He had a better goal-scoring ratio in the beginning of the season than Alessandro Del Piero and Carlos Tevez. Matter of fact, only Roberto Baggio managed a better scoring ratio than Paulo Dybala during his first season. Fans immediately fell in love with him. This was the golden boy for Juventus. Then came the famous mask celebration that everybody copies to this day. And suddenly, Dybala had everything a footballer needs. And people even started comparing him to Messi, mainly because of the low center of gravity style of play and a strong left foot. Some even believed he can be Argentina's all-time great. So Paulo Dybala had big shoes to fill, but he had all the potential to do it. But following the departure of Paul Pogba to Man United, Dybala was offered the number 10 shirt, which he initially declined. This kid was destined for greatness at the old lady. He was going to win the Champions League, win the Serie A, and cement himself as one of Juventus' best players in history, and then beat Messi and Ronaldo to the Ballon d'Or. However, that's not quite what happened. See, the first warning sign for Dybala, Allegri switched Dybala to a deep playmaking role to make space for Gonzalo Higuain. And this change saw a huge decrease in output from Paulo Dybala in terms of goals and assists. Pundits and fans started getting really worried about Paulo Dybala. Things weren't going his way until one night where he reminded them who he is. That was the night he really silenced the critics, and it catapulted him to a different level. April 2017, Champions League quarterfinal, Juventus versus Barcelona. And on that night, Paulo Dybala looked unstoppable. This was against MSN's Barcelona. Barcelona were the heavy favorites to win that game, but that's when Paulo Dybala stepped up. He scored 2 world-class goals against MSN's Barcelona. That was the night where he marked his territory, and he showed every Juventus fan who he is. The football world exploded. People genuinely believed that this is it. This is the future of Juventus, and he's finally arrived at only 23 years old. He hadn't even entered his prime yet. And right after the match, the Ballon d'Or conversation slowly came in. Now, he took Juventus to the Champions League final, where they ended up losing to noodle hair Ronaldo and Real Madrid. That was a huge blow for Dybala and for players.
You're not going to win against Ronaldo. You are not going to win against Ronaldo. A final, Ronaldo. Come on, boy.
Players like Gigi Buffon, who finally wanted their hands on the Champions League. And that really foreshadowed Dybala's career, coming so close but missing out. Now, ironically, that same man changed Dybala's entire career trajectory. More on that shortly. Now, in August of that year, Dybala was one of the finalists for the UEFA Forward of the Year, and during that same time period, he accepted the number 10 shirt for Juventus. Now he's wearing the same jersey as Roberto Baggio and Alessandro Del Piero, making his place.
I don't know why they video now.
Placement very clear. Things were starting to look bright. They suddenly came crashing down. In 2018, Cristiano Ronaldo told the Real Madrid supporters that he'll be leaving Real Madrid at the end of the season, shocking every Real Madrid fan, and Juventus shockingly signed him from Real Madrid. Now suddenly, Juventus fans all over the world were singing Ronaldo's name. There are even ex-Real Madrid fans supporting Juventus now because of Cristiano Ronaldo. I mean, he's one of the biggest names in football. The entire club changed overnight. Everybody at the club was putting so much attention on Cristiano Ronaldo now, and Dybala felt left out. Before Ronaldo arrived, Dybala was the face of Juventus. Once Ronaldo arrived, everything shifted towards him. Now him and Dybala were supposed to team up together and win everything, but reality is often than what we imagine. It created a lot of problems tactically, because Dybala's best role was very specific. He thrived as a free-roaming second striker, and that made Dybala look uncomfortable on the pitch next to Cristiano Ronaldo. All the balls were being played towards Ronaldo, leaving Dybala to be left out. Now some matches he played deeper, other matches wider, and sometimes he was just benched entirely. There are even real reports that came out that Juventus was considering selling him, and for the first time in years, people started questioning if Dybala was really elite, because elite players adapt to any situation, and Dybala struggled to fully adapt. But see, the Ronaldo situation wasn't even the biggest problem. The real problem was much worse. Paulo Dybala's body started betraying him. Now, I would say that this was the biggest reason Dybala never reached his full potential. He had constant injuries that he could never get rid of, and it's so unfortunate because of his talent. Season after season, his body kept falling apart, and every time Dybala recovers and starts finding rhythm again, another injury comes through. See, Dybala never really had the true consistency that elite superstars have, and that's not entirely his fault. Some seasons he missed huge stretches, and then eventually, coaches stopped trusting his availability. They were now looking for other options. That changes everything everything in football. Another big issue for Paulo Dybala. Argentina's big man himself, Lionel Messi. Obviously, Messi wasn't hurting Dybala intentionally, but tactically, their coexistence really made things hard for Dybala. Imagine fighting for a team spot against Lionel Messi. You might as well retire at that point. Both players preferred central creative freedoms, drifting between lines, and attacking from the spaces. Naturally, Argentina and the whole world would prioritize Lionel Messi. So for the national team, Dybala was always sacrificed, and he was inconsistently used for the club, for the team. Coaches couldn't find a balance between Messi and Dybala playing together. Now, unfortunately for Dybala, nobody was building a team around him. This was Messi's team, no matter what. It worked out for Dybala because he ended up winning the FIFA World Cup in 2022, and Messi was largely the reason they won that World Cup, but at least he got that gold medal, which is something most footballers never get to touch. Another big what if in Dybala's career was potential transfers that never came through. Several Premier League teams made their interest towards Dybala, and United, Tottenham Hotspur, and other big clubs came calling for Paulo Dybala, but the transfers kept collapsing. Many fans believe that Dybala staying in Italy limited his global exposure, because back then, Serie A no longer had the same spotlight as it did back in the day. And slowly, Dybala disappeared from the superstar conversation. So the important question is, did Dybala actually fail? Because he still won Serie A titles, the World Cup, and a bunch of other accolades. Most players...
Man, it's a shame, man, but it happens to the best of us. It happens to the best of us, gang. Sony's new PlayStation trap. Are they dropping a PlayStation 6 already? Our lazy midfielder humiliated
much.
This guy was the goal. What do you mean a lazy midfielder?
Why can't Parmesan and balsamic just be made anywhere?
Only one way to find out. What's the difference?
On Pirlo's name, gang. I better put
Andrea Pirlo didn't run much. He was lazy, hated running, and even mentioned that warming up was a waste of energy. But despite his low effort, he became one of the best midfielders the world has ever seen. With no speed, strength, or physical dominance, he left many opponents chasing his shadow. But how did he do it? And what can we learn from the man who made football look so easy? Our story begins in Flero, Italy. The year is 1995. A young 16-year-old boy by the name of Andrea Pirlo is about to step onto the pitch for the Serie A side Brescia. Brescia is Pirlo's local boyhood club, and
you guys know who this man is right here. This is the greatest, one of the greatest midfielders to ever.
Can't wait to show the big boys of the Italian top division what he's made of. He has every reason to be excited. On the training ground, Pirlo could slice through the other kids' defence with ease and find marvellous little passes to create space for the rest of the team. But the game played at the top division senior football is a whole other world compared to youth sides. Pirlo had grown up focusing on the art of the game rather than the rough and tumble parts. His coaches criticised him for being lazy, not wanting to put in the effort to run or track back like he was supposed to. Stop watching the game and play it, they'd say to him. He needs to toughen up, the media and fans would say about Pirlo. You can't be a midfielder in the modern game if you don't have the physicality to back it up. Fast forward a couple of years, it took a season playing for the youth side, but eventually Pirlo did earn his spot in the first team for Brescia for the 1996 to 1997 in Serie B. Once again, the young Pirlo put in some decent performances, but with only 2 goals across 17 appearances and 0 assists as an attacking midfielder by the end of the season, he left a lot to be desired. Brescia was happy, however, as the club had worked its way back into the Serie A for the 1997 to 1998 season. This time around, things went a little bit easier. He added experience, and age led to him racking up some good game time, scoring 4 goals and netting 5 assists across 29 Serie A games. One of the biggest clubs in the entirety of Italian football, Inter Milan, knocked on his door. They'd been watching the young midfielder throughout the season and believed he showed serious promise. In the summer of 1998, Pirlo joined Inter, ready to make a name for himself. Let's just say things didn't go well. Pirlo's debut season at Inter, 1998 to 1999, saw him face the same hurdles he had faced his whole career.
he couldn't keep up with the pace and was constantly pushed off the ball. He ended the season with no goals, but had at least racked up 5 assists across all competitions. Inter sent Pirlo out on loan to cut his teeth with Regina for the 1999 to 2000 season. There, the midfielder did quite well. He scored 6 goals and netted 3 assists across 28 league games, showing glimpses of the player he could one day become. But it wasn't enough for Inter. When the midway point of the season rolled around, he was sent back out on loan to his former club Brescia. By this point, Pirlo's career had literally gone round in one big circle.
And if you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. No album dropping next week, and we still have some streams planned for tomorrow, so be sure you tap in with us tomorrow.
Let's take a moment to break down exactly what's gone wrong up until this point. The reality is that no amount of hard work or experience could have transformed Pirlo into the player his coaches wanted him to become. You can feed a spaniel all the meat in the world, tie a big collar around its neck and train it all you want, but at the end of the day, it will never be a Rottweiler. Pirlo's true strengths as a player lay in his ability to analyse the game and find perfect long balls to his teammates. He wasn't an attacking midfielder with blinding pace, but could dictate the tempo of the game from the back, like a general ordering his troops from the back line. It took a good few
I just don't like how they're talking about Pirlo, man. Pirlo's one of the greatest, man. And this is coming from someone who doesn't even watch a whole lot of football like that, but I know
years for anyone to make this realisation, but eventually someone did. Carlo Mazzoni, his new manager. Mazzoni already had a super talent as an attacking midfielder in Roberto Baggio, Pirlo's childhood hero, so the youngster seemed like surplus to requirement. Rather than stick him on the bench, the manager made a decision that would change the boy's life forever. He played Pirlo as a deep-lying playmaker, giving him far more control over the game. Pirlo's new role not only gave him far more avenues to express his creativity, it also lifted the weight off his weaknesses, no longer being asked to compete physically as much with the opposing team. Redefining this young player's role, finding a spot for him that wasn't the standard for Italian football, was a huge gamble for Mazzoni. Normally it wouldn't work, but Brescia had Baggio. Baggio's already occupied the attacking midfielder role, which opened up the space for Pirlo's new position. The youngster would be in a position far better suited to his style of play. The improvements were obvious from day one. While his GA stats took a hit from playing much deeper in the team, anyone with eyes could tell Pirlo's new role made him far more influential in the team. He became a prodigy at dictating the pace of the game from behind, moving the ball in transition quickly when he found the right opportunity, spotting perfect passes when they popped up, or slowing everything down when he needed to take the sting out of the game. Brescia had been struggling to survive in the Serie A all season. When Mazzoni made his crucial change, they skyrocketed up the table. By the end of the year, the club finished in a very solid 7th place, securing safety and a European spot to boot. The match that best represents this incredible
On Qantas, let the magic of your Aussie adventure begin above the clouds. That's the magic of Australia in the sky.
Yo. Hey bro, I know you like to...
Transformation is the away fixture against Juventus towards the end of the season. Juve had been in a fierce battle against Roma for the Serie A title. When Brescia came to Turin on April the 1st, fans believed Juventus had it in the bag. The home side took the lead early, but Brescia had a trick up their sleeve. At the 40th minute, Pirlo picked up the ball deep in his half, knocked it to the halfway line, then delivered a sublime long ball right to Baggio's feet. Baggio, the magician that he was, caught it perfectly with a beautiful first touch and put it past the keeper, who was sprawled out on the deck. The rest of the league looked on. The lesson had been learned. Andrea Pirlo was a boy no longer. He had become a young midfield maestro. Mazzoni had worked wonders in reshaping Pirlo into the player he was always meant to be, but the success had also shone.
What's poppin', you guys? It's your boy FIIEND Donesicasi 1496. If y'all new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to the channel. New album next week Friday. And we also got a stream coming tomorrow, collaborative stream, so be sure
Spotlight on the player. One man, one Don looked on from the stands, sunglasses covering his eyes, a lit cigar between his lips. Pirlo had only warmed up. His best performances were still yet to come. When a big club came knocking on Pirlo's door, it would once again be one from Milan. Not Inter Milan, however, but their arch-rivals AC Milan. In the summer of 2001, Milan approached Inter for the player. Pirlo happily accepted the move. When the Don himself, Carlo Ancelotti, joins the club in November, he took a keen interest in the midfielder, seeing how much potential Pirlo had as a deep-lying playmaker. Mazzoni had laid the foundations for Pirlo's resurgence as a midfield maestro, but he had still yet to reach his full potential. Pirlo was an uncut diamond, and only another diamond can cut one into shape. Don Carlo made sure he always found himself in front of the defensive line, able to pick the ball up in safe areas where he wouldn't need to rely on pace to beat the opposing team, then could direct the match out from the back like a maestro conducting his orchestra. Vision and analysis became the most important weapons in Pirlo's arsenal, and he had both in ample supply. Football is played with the head, Pirlo once said. Your feet are just the tools. This quote encapsulates the kind of player Pirlo was. While everyone else was focusing on the ball, this man was thinking of the match like a game of chess. To him, seeing you play football with your feet was like seeing you play chess with your hands. While Pirlo played well and loved his new role, the club fell short in his first season. For 2001 to 2002, Pirlo scored 2 goals and netted 3 assists in the league, and Milan finished 4th, knocked out of the Champions League by Dortmund in the semi-finals. Part of becoming a legendary player, regardless of how you do it, is understanding the value of patience. All too often in football, we want to see results right from the word go. Don Carlo was a grizzled veteran of the game, and he knew that a player like Pirlo would need time to flourish and bloom into the mastermind he wanted to become. Don Carlo was half right. Pirlo did bloom and grow as a player, only far more quickly than anyone could have anticipated. The team brushed off the previous season and focused entirely on the coming 2002 to 2003 campaign, where they hoped to set the record straight and prove their worth to the rest of the footballing world. Nobody added more to the team than Pirlo. There simply wasn't any other player on the planet who could conduct a game like it was a symphony. It didn't matter what move you made on the pitch, Pirlo had accounted for it in his mind long before you'd even made it, be it your teammate or opponent. The midfield maestro ended the season with a personal all-time top tally of 9 goals and 8 assists, but that doesn't even tell us the whole story. Nearly every moment and phase of play started at his command. In Serie A, Milan enjoyed steady improvement.
With Noel like I'm Christina. Your favorite mom ain't even post a picture. Damn. Where she at? Where she at? Damn. And I don't know how to think less than I think louder. They told me this a bad pen. Fuck it, we still drove up here for 6 hours. I was all about a damn squad back then. But look at all them niggas that I'm left with now. Less is more, nigga, the stress is gone. All your time of feeling pleasure, one and standing in the shot. What I Freddie drop the podcast.
Viewer discretion is advised. You don't like what we say? Why are you even watching the program? You don't like how we say it. You don't like our program? Ah, dog. Harder, boy. Don't play this in front of your kids. You know what we say. You know the topics we discuss. You know how wild they get. Why you think this is funny, your kids? And enjoy the program. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen. That was loud.
I don't think TikTok.
All right, well, it's gonna be shit in sound. That's fine. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Alfredo de Bull, Senor. Like this, because I don't want to do it in post. My name is Alfredo de Bull, and we are back for episode number 47. I know we should have been dead by now, but we are not. We are here. We are alive, and we are proud. And today I brought a special guest with myself, Mr. Claudia Ovatra.
Yes, sir. Now I'm chilling, boy. Thank you for having me in the show.
Of course, man.
Now I'm chilling. I was going this side.
Fucking tired, dude.
Yo, boy, the week that we have had, bro, it's been hectic.
Fucking tired, dude.
I won't lie now. I'm just waiting for December to come at this rate, and we're only May, bro.
It's far, boy.
We still have like about, I don't know how many months, but
pull up to this podcast. I need to make time, bro. I need to make time and pull up to the pod. Thing is, it's like well, it's not that far, but I'm gonna have to make some time, man, and pull up to Alfredo's. He had actually invited me, dog, but when you have the wrong people in your ear, you end up missing opportunities like that. Chris Singer, your baby mom ain't even post a picture. Damn. 7 levels of billionaire. What?
Fender bender in rush hour? Good thing you're naked and can submit claim.
Is this channel? I was watching. This is another channel. Which one should we watch? Now let's do 7 levels of private jets. Private jets billionaires. Now let's do the billionaires one.
Let's get into it. Level 1, $1 billion to $3 billion. The new billionaire. This is where the number first appears next to your name. You didn't inherit it. You built something. A company, a platform, a portfolio. And one day an investment bank sent you a valuation, and the number had a B in it. Net worth, $1 to $3 billion. Liquid cash on hand, probably $50 to $200 million. The rest is locked in equity, real estate, and assets that can't be sold on a Tuesday afternoon without moving markets or triggering clauses. Here's what most people don't understand about level 1 billionaires. They feel poor. Not poor, but constrained. Their wealth exists on paper. Their lifestyle is upper class, not ultra wealthy. They fly private occasionally, not habitually. They have a nice house, not a compound. They have a financial advisor, not a family office. The problem at this level isn't money, it's liquidity. And liquidity is the difference between wealth and freedom. Who's here? The founder who took his company public 2 years ago. He's worth $2.1 billion on paper. His lockup period just ended. He sold $80 million in stock, paid $35 million in taxes, and put $45 million into a brokerage account. That $45 million is the most real money he has ever touched in his life. And it is nowhere near enough to live like a billionaire. Not yet. He's still answering emails, still flying commercial when it makes sense, still has a mortgage technically. He is a billionaire the way someone is in a relationship. The label is technically correct, but the infrastructure isn't there yet. Level 2, $3 billion to $10 billion. The establishment billionaire. This.
But then do you see like the type of content I be watching you guys? I'm putting you guys on. I want you guys to see how wealthy people really think and how somebody on my level thinks. because it's 2 different levels.
is where billionaire status stops feeling accidental and starts feeling structural. Net worth, $3 to $10 billion. A proper family office is established. A private firm, 5 to 15 employees, managing investments, legal entities, tax strategy, and personal logistics. The family office costs $3 to $10 million per year to run. It also saves multiples of that in taxes, deal access, and avoided mistakes. At this level, the private jet isn't a luxury. It's infrastructure. A G550 or a Global 6000, purchased outright or fractional, operated under a management company, available on 4 hours' notice, any destination, no check-in, no security line, no shared cabin with strangers. The house situation changes. Not one house, a primary residence, a ski property, a place in Europe, maybe an island or ranch, each property staffed year-round, regardless of whether the owner is present. Who's here? The second-generation media owner whose grandfather built the company, whose father doubled it, and who has spent the last decade diversifying away from the core business because she saw what happened to single-asset families. She doesn't appear on television. Her name appears on hospital wings and university buildings. She has a security detail she pretends not to have. She was offered a cabinet position once and declined because the disclosure requirements were inconvenient. At level 2, privacy becomes a profession. Level 3, $10 billion to $30 billion, the institutional billionaire. At this level, the person is no longer just wealthy. They are an economic actor. Their investment decisions move markets. Their capital allocations shape industries. When they shift portfolios, analysts write reports.
Imagine having so much money that whatever move you make, like investment-wise, it shifts the whole entire, like, it shifts the whole market, boy. Like, you can, if you did, like, let's say, for instance, you have, like, an oil company, dog. If you decide that, you know what, dog, fuck all this shit, dog. We ain't making no oil in 3 months. You know that you're gonna fuck up the world, bro. Like, that's the type of wealth you have at this level, bro.
Reports about it. The family office at this level operates like a mid-sized bank, 20 to 50 professionals, an investment team running a diversified portfolio across public equities, private equity, real estate, venture capital, hedge funds, and direct operating businesses. A legal team that exists solely to structure, protect, and optimize the wealth. A philanthropic arm that grants more money annually than the GDP of several sovereign nations. The lifestyle inflection point here is staff. Not just staff, institutional staff. An estate manager who runs the properties. A travel director who coordinates movement across time zones. A chief of staff who manages the owner's schedule, correspondence, and access. The principal doesn't manage logistics. The principal makes decisions. Everything else is handled. Who's here? The industrial billionaire who took his father's manufacturing company, sold the manufacturing, and reinvested the proceeds into real estate, media, and private equity over 30 years. His name is not famous. His portfolio is. He owns pieces of things you interact with every day, and you have no idea. He has given more than $2 billion to his foundation, which operates independently with its own staff and agenda. He is simultaneously one of the most powerful people in his city and completely invisible to the public. That invisibility is not accidental. It is engineered. Level 4, $30 billion to $100 billion. The sovereign billionaire. This is where individual wealth begins to exceed the economic output of small nations. GDP of Iceland, approximately $25 billion. GDP of Bolivia, approximately $40 billion. At level 4, a single individual controls more capital than entire sovereign economies. The infrastructure required to manage this wealth is not personal anymore. It is institutional, multiple family offices, multiple legal structures across multiple jurisdictions, teams of lawyers who specialize in international tax law, asset protection, and regulatory.
That's crazy. Imagine having enough money, like having where now one man you have more money than an entire country, gang.
Compliance across every major financial system on Earth. At this level, the individual does not own assets in their name. They own entities that own entities that own entities. The beneficial ownership chain, who actually controls what, can take investigators years to fully map. Sometimes it is never mapped at all. The political dimension becomes unavoidable. Governments return calls. Legislation gets reviewed with their interests in mind. Not because anyone is corrupt necessarily, because capital at this scale creates gravitational pull. Everyone orbits it. Who's here? You know their names. The ones who appear on the short list. Always the same short list of the wealthiest people on Earth. What you don't see is what's behind the name. The operating team that runs the wealth as a full-time enterprise. The security apparatus that protects it. The political relationships that surround it. The philanthropic institutions that extend its influence into civil society, academia, and policy. The wealth stopped being a number a long time ago. It became a system, and the system runs whether or not the person is paying attention. Level 5, $100 billion to $200 billion. The post-national billionaire. Fewer than 15 people on Earth have ever crossed this threshold. At $100 billion, wealth stops functioning as a resource and starts functioning as a force. The individual is no longer subject to normal economic pressures. They cannot spend it down. They cannot lose it through lifestyle. Short of catastrophic business collapse or targeted government seizure, the wealth is self-perpetuating. It generates returns faster than it can be meaningfully deployed. The implication of that is strange and rarely discussed. Freedom, as most people understand it, is the ability to do what you want. But at this level, freedom inverts. The constraints aren't financial, they're physical. There are only 24 hours in a day. There is only one of you. No amount of capital solves that. What changes at this level is scale of ambition. The projects these individuals fund are not businesses in the conventional sense. They are attempts to solve problems that governments have failed to solve. Space infrastructure, disease eradication, energy transition. Not because of altruism necessarily, but because everything else has already been bought. At $100 billion, the only interesting problems left are civilizational. Who's here? The founder who built a company so dominant in its category that the company and the category became synonymous. He didn't plan to accumulate this much. He just never stopped building, and the market never stopped rewarding him. His net worth fluctuates by $10 billion on a bad week. A $10 billion fluctuation. That is the GDP of a mid-sized country, moving with his stock price before lunch on a Wednesday. He is now more famous for what he does outside his company than inside it. That shift was not a choice. It was arithmetic. Level 6, $200 billion to $500 billion. The singular accumulation. This tier has had at most 2 or 3 occupants in all of recorded economic history. At this level, the conversation about wealth ends. What exists instead is something closer to permanent institutional power. The individual controls more capital than the Federal Reserve moves in some interventions. Their single largest holding is worth more than most Fortune 500 companies. The paradox here is visibility. The wealthiest people in history, John D. Rockefeller, adjusted for today, estimated at $400 to $700 billion, operated in near total obscurity by modern standards. Today's singular accumulators are global celebrities. Their statements move financial markets. Their tweets are parsed by analysts. Their moods are reported as news. That visibility is both their power and their exposure. It is the only thing at this level that cannot be fully controlled. The wealth itself generates approximately $20 to $50 billion per year in returns passively.
That's crazy. Even in investing, the only way to invest to make sense. Like, let's say you have 100,000 in the bank. That's like you're investing 100,000. Then it makes sense because everywhere you make like 10K.
Without a single decision being made,
And if you have $1 million,
the individual
then
could
it
stop
comes back
working,
like
stop building, stop appearing in any capacity, and the number would continue growing. The momentum of capital at this scale is essentially irreversible under normal conditions. There is no lifestyle analog, no property, no yacht, no aircraft, no experience that costs meaningfully relative to the balance. A $500 million yacht is a rounding error. A $200 million mansion is less than one day's returns. The concept of spending is not applicable. This is not wealth that is held. It is wealth that accumulates regardless of what is done with it. Level 7, $500 billion and beyond. Wealth is civilization. This level does not yet have a permanent resident, but it is closer than most people realize. At $500 billion, a number that has been approached and may be crossed within this decade, individual wealth begins to approach the scale at which a single private actor can fund infrastructure, military capability, or governance systems comparable to mid-sized nation-states. This is not hyperbole. It is arithmetic, the annual GDP of Portugal.
I hope you also get what you want in this lifetime, Brody. May God bless you, my dog. But don't
Let's get into it. Level 1.
It's gonna get there. There was this other guy who did like 7 levels of what? I wanted to check it out. 7. But right now, I just think this content is just AI. 7 levels of. Shout out, you guys. YouTube, bro. I gotta go sleep now. Shout out, man. Shout out, Brody. See you next time. Shout out, gang. See you next time.
Level 1. Read subnormal. Level 1 is the absolute lowest form of human intelligence, with an IQ below 70. People at this level often have serious developmental issues, whether it be genetics, brain injury, oxygen deprivation at birth, or something that went fundamentally wrong during development. They can't do abstract thinking, they can't process complex sentences, and they don't really think in words. Their world is emotional and sensory. They respond to tone, not meaning. If you're kind, they feel safe. If you're angry, they panic. They probably need help with eating, dressing, and walking outside. But here's the thing, even though their minds are limited, their emotions aren't. You'll see genuine joy, sadness, and affection in a way that feels realer than what most people will ever show you. It's not about intellect anymore, it's about human connection. Level 2, below average. Now we're at the level of people who function independently, but barely. IQs between 70 to 85 mean these people could live on their own, work basic jobs, pay the bills, but struggle with complexity. School was probably a nightmare. Reading long paragraphs was torture, and math past grade 9 is basically impossible. But they're not dumb, they're practical. Instead of understanding theories, they simply remember the steps. They might not design the factory, but they can definitely make sure it runs. Level 3, average. This is where almost 70% of the world's population resides. IQs between 85 and 115 mean you can read, write, think logically, do taxes, hold conversations, follow rules, and generally get through life without any major issues. You make plans, you learn from mistakes, and you understand cause and effect. In other words, you're normal. But that's also the problem. You're too normal. This level feels like the finish line when in reality it's just the middle. People here think they've got life figured out, or at least that they're smart enough, which causes them to stop learning. They form opinions, join debates, memorize headlines, but rarely question the systems that produce them. They're convinced that they're free thinkers without realizing most of the thoughts they think they've independently come up with were actually planted within them through hidden messaging. This is the level of comfort. You've got enough intelligence. In fact, you have all the intelligence you really need, but with comfort killing your curiosity, all of the intelligence goes to waste. This is the crucial difference separating level 3 from the 2 below it. It's that though at this level you can easily become complacent and plateau in your learning capabilities are still unrestricted. At this level, you have the freedom and ability to learn things like rocket science and become an expert in basically any topic on the planet. The problem is that most people know this, and it's the realization that they have this limitless potential which keeps them from moving. Level 4, above average. With IQs between 115 and 130, this is the level where you start seeing patterns instead of facts. You don't just see what's happening, you see why. You catch the subtext in conversations, you connect dots before anyone realizes there even are any dots. This is the level where intelligence starts to feel like friction. You start to notice how predictable people are, how inefficient systems are, and how shallow small talk feels. Above average minds gravitate towards systems, meaning they often choose careers in programming, design, economics, and psychology. Anything that rewards seeing a big picture. Level 5, high intelligence. IQs from 130 to 145 mean you're in the top 2% of humanity. At this level, learning...
Comment section, what do you think is your level of intelligence right here? Drop in the comment section.
Stops being about memorizing and it starts being about rewriting. You don't just understand the rules, you rebuild them. You read a book and instinctively spot what the author missed. You don't just learn facts, you reverse engineer the logic that created them. In school, you weren't trying to finish the assignment, you were trying to improve it. You finished early and then created a better version, because your brain couldn't stop optimizing. You think in frameworks, in systems, in if this, then that. You notice how the thunderstorm mirrors a power grid, how human emotions follow predictable cycles, and how chaos itself has structure. Level 6, genius. IQs with 145 and above. Genius level isn't just about thinking faster, it's about thinking different. While the other kids were playing outside during summer break, these kids were sitting at home studying textbooks. Not to get smarter, but simply because of how interesting it was to them. Einstein imagined himself riding alongside a beam of light. He just imagined it. And from that imagination, the theory of relativity. He didn't just logically come up with equations, he visualized them and then wrote them down. Same with Ramanujan, the Indian mathematician who wrote formulas that still baffle modern supercomputers. He claimed a goddess whispered them to him in his dreams. That's not mysticism, that's what it feels like when your brain starts pulling knowledge from connections no one else can see. Genius is the final level of intuition. It's imagination fused with logic so tightly that you can't tell where one ends and the other begins. But living here, it's isolating, because so much of your life is stuck within your own mind. You think in ways people can't follow. You speak and they misunderstand. You're labeled crazy, unstable, or arrogant. Galileo stared through a telescope and said the earth moves around the sun. The church called him a heretic. He spent his life under house arrest. Centuries later, we call him a visionary. Geniuses are punished before they're praised. Their brains aren't bigger computers. They're a completely different operating system. Look at Nikola Tesla. He could construct machines in his own mind, run them for days in imaginary spaces, and spot design flaws without touching a single tool. But for every Tesla or Einstein, there are dozens of geniuses who crumble, because your thoughts move faster than words, and you start to feel misunderstood, not because people disagree with you, but because they literally can't see what you see. There have been hundreds of Einsteins that we will simply never hear of because they either couldn't or didn't care to explain their thoughts. Level 7, polymaths and the transcendent. Now we're at the level beyond genius. Here, intelligence stops being about speed or logic. It becomes a vision. Polymaths are geniuses with range. They master not just one, but every single world they touch. Leonardo da Vinci painted the Mona Lisa, designed flying machines 400 years before airplanes, and dissected human corpses to map anatomy. He didn't see art and science as different things. He saw them as two angles of the same truth. Galileo was the same. He blended mathematics and philosophy to the point they became one language. To him, the universe wasn't chaos, it was geometry in motion. Benjamin Franklin invented bifocals, mapped electricity, and built political systems. Isaac Newton wrote Principia Mathematica, and then, for fun, basically invented modern optics. These are minds that don't see boundaries, they see bridges. A polymath would walk into a library and he wouldn't see sections. He would see one giant interconnected map of human thought. They could read a book on music theory and end up solving a physics problem. They could paint a portrait and accidentally invent a new type of lens. Their intelligence isn't in knowing more, it's in connecting more. They think like spiders weaving across different disciplines. The pattern matters more than the thread. and yet this level carries with it a certain sadness. You can know everything and yet still feel incomplete. You begin to realize knowledge itself is endless, and chasing it only stretches the horizon further away. This realization gives birth to the next evolution, the transcendent. Buddha sat under a tree and realized that every thought, every desire, every identity was just movement, noise. Socrates said that the only true wisdom is knowing you know nothing. Carl Jung looked inside the human mind and found an entire universe of symbols that explain not just people, but existence itself. Transcendents stopped trying to win the game of intelligence. They realized the game was self-made. While a genius sees the structure of reality, a transcendent sees the illusion of it.
Oh, that was a dope video. I'm not gonna lie. That was a dope video. But there's a specific channel I used to watch. But now I can't find the channel anymore. Shout out. Let's see what else we can watch. What's up, chat? Baby boy Freeze. I heard what you said a little bro about me. I'm sure I get themselves up famous to the channel. Oh wait. So there's nothing else to watch. Come on, bro. This is. Seven levels of psychos, oh yeah. So
The 7 levels of psychopaths explained.
Level 1, the inaccurate.
These characters are here not because they aren't dangerous or entertaining or badly written, but because they're fundamentally wrong about what psychopathy actually is. Norman Bates in Psycho and Hannibal Lecter in Silence of the Lambs are both entertaining and frightening while being extremely well written. But using the paper published by Dr. Samuel Lystedt, we can confirm that these beloved characters are in fact inaccurate portrayals of psychopathy. Lystedt and his team said that these characters don't quite fit the mold because in the case of Norman Bates, he is more psychotic rather than psychopathic. Big distinction between the two. As for Hannibal Lecter, he is obscenely unrealistic and a caricature of a psychopath. This is because Hannibal accumulates many personal characteristics that are not generally found in everyday clinical practice. He's described as having exaggerated levels of intelligence, sophisticated manners and cunningness, sometimes up to superhuman levels. Real psychopaths aren't omniscient geniuses who can diagnose people by their perfume while being elite painters and musicians at the same time. Hannibal is an elite psychopath, Hollywood invention that is too perfect and too theatrical. To wrap this level up, in early Hollywood, filmmakers had no real understanding of psychopathy as a clinical condition. They conflated it with generic villainy, insanity, or just being really evil, such as Tommy Udo in Kiss of Death and Cody Jarrett in White Heat. These portrayals played into public misunderstanding that genre villains like gangsters, mad scientists, and slashers typified psychopathy. Clinical psychopathy is marked by a persistent lack of empathy, shallow emotions, impulsivity, and often a charming yet manipulative, calculating and cold-hearted demeanor. Now, let's get into real portrayals of psychopaths, starting with
Level 2, the low functioning.
Giza bursts during dinner? Good thing you're naked and can call a plumber anytime on the Naked app. Get naked.
From a neurological standpoint, low-functioning psychopaths exhibit high testosterone combined with low serotonin levels, which creates impulsive and highly negative reactions. They struggle with emotional regulation, leading to explosive outbursts of anger, sudden bouts of depression, or rapid mood swings. Unlike their high-functioning counterparts, who plan carefully and maintain a facade, these individuals are marked by emotional volatility and impulsive, reactionary behavior. They are not smart enough to hide what they are. Annie Wilkes from Misery is a prime example, exhibiting features ranging from emotional lability to delusional attachment to a fictional character. Another example is Commodus from Gladiator. He is catastrophically low-functioning, petty, reactive, and driven entirely by a wounded ego. He can't manage his own emotional responses under pressure, such as when he murdered his own father in a fit of rage after learning he wouldn't inherit the throne, driven purely by jealousy and a pathological need for approval. Other low-functioning psychopaths would be Joseph from Creep, Franco Begbie from Trainspotting, and Tommy DeVito from Goodfellas. Remember the distinction: great character, bad clinical psychopath. Tommy DeVito is a great character, but he is a low-functioning psychopath. He exhibits extreme emotional dysregulation, as shown when he murders Spider over a minor insult, demonstrating inability to modulate effective responses. These are high Factor 2 traits, such as impulsivity and aggression. As for Franco Begbie, he demonstrates poor behavioral controls and inability to maintain even criminal relationships due to unpredictable violent tendencies. Joseph is another that fits the mold of this level, as portrayed through his attempts at charm but failing. He also displays possible paraphilic disorders and cannot maintain convincing false self despite trying. Level 2 characters have the absence of empathy, the lack of remorse, the predatory instinct, but none of the intelligence, patience, or self-control that makes a psychopath genuinely dangerous. But if we up the levels of psychopathy, we get
Level 3, the Mako.
According to the Hervé classification system, macho psychopaths have the second highest overall PCLR score among all subtypes, meaning they're extremely dangerous. But here's what makes them distinct: they score low on the interpersonal factor, which is why they fall into level 3, as they have minimal charm and no smooth talking abilities. Unlike level 2's chaotic, uncontrolled violence, macho psychopaths use brutality systematically, such as orchestrating robberies, assaults, and territorial violence. Characters such as Bill the Butcher from Gangs of New York, Colonel Nathan Jessup from A Few Good Men, and Nicky Santoro from Casino are macho psychopaths. Bill the Butcher perfectly embodies this tier. Classified as secondary macho, Bill controls the 5 points through sheer physical dominance and territorial brutality. He's intelligent enough to understand power dynamics, but his methods are medieval, ranging from public executions, gladiatorial combat, and donning visible scars as calling cards. Nicky Santoro from Casino is another primary macho psychopath in pure form. Joe Pesci's character operates through violence, intimidation, and terror. He demonstrates zero capacity for behavioral modulation and operates identically whether context requires subtlety or permits brutality, which reveals a pathological inability to calibrate force to strategic necessity. Where De Niro's character Ace maintains sophisticated false self integrating into legitimate business, Nicky cannot suppress core psychopathy even when he's at risk. What separates this level from others is that a macho psychopath is a subtype of antisocial personality disorder characterized by overt aggression, impulsivity, and a need for dominance, often using physical threats to intimidate. And before we move on, it would be a dream if you could help this channel reach 3,000 subscribers, and it's completely free.
I doubt any of you guys are dealing with psychopathy.
Thank you.
Level 4, the God Complex.
This tier represents psychopaths who've developed a grandiose delusional framework around their actions, a fusion of narcissistic personality traits with psychopathic core features. Clinical literature describes these individuals as high-scoring on Factor 1 traits such as interpersonal and affective combined with pathological grandiosity. Unlike level 3 macho psychopaths who use force pragmatically, God complex psychopaths have ideological conviction that they're entitled to determine who lives or dies or deserves wealth or poverty. Characters such as Dr. Jed Hill from Malice, Alonzo Harris from Training Day, James Bond from 007 and Gordon Gekko from Wall Street embody this level. Using Dr. Jed Hill as an example, he is the purest cinematic representation of this complex. During a deposition, he delivers the infamous monologue, "You ask me if I have a God complex. I am God. I decide who lives and who dies." I'm surprised I haven't seen a TikTok edit of that yet. James Bond represents another institutional God complex. He seduces, manipulates, and kills without remorse because the state has told him he's above conventional law. Unlike criminal psychopaths who fear consequences, Bond operates in a moral framework where his actions are pre-justified by national security. Finally, Gordon Gekko from Wall Street, one of my all-time favourite movie characters. Even The Paper by Lightstead calls him, and I quote, "probably one of the most interesting, manipulative, psychopathic fictional characters to date." Classified as primary manipulative, Gekko doesn't have to physically threaten anyone. Greed is good becomes his philosophy, and he uses it to seduce young broker Bud into insider trading, corporate espionage, and betraying his own father. He studies Bud's ambition, his father issues, his desperate need for validation, then he crafts a persona, the successful father figure Bud wishes he had, and then weaponizes it. The paper highlights how he represents the rise of a successful psychopath, individuals who climb to the top of legitimate industries by exploiting the same traits that would make others criminals.
Level 5, the Manipulator.
According to the Hervey classification, manipulative psychopaths score high on interpersonal and affective factors while scoring lower on the lifestyle behavioral factor. This means they have the charm, the superficiality, and the emotional coldness of psychopathy, leaning less on confrontational violence. In a way, this makes them more dangerous and parasitic, which is why I placed them in level 5. Characters such as Aaron Stampler from Primal Fear, Esther from Orphan, Amy Dunn from Gone Girl, and Kevin from We Need to Talk About Kevin define this level. Kevin is more of an outlier on this level despite demonstrating textbook primary psychopathy. He also exhibits congenital etiology. This is defined as abnormalities, in this case psychopathy, present at birth resulting from genetic factors. Therefore, you could make a case for him being higher, but I will touch on later why I placed him in this level. Anyway, the film explicitly explores nature versus nurture and concludes he was born this way with no environmental trauma explaining his presentation. He scores high across all the Hervey factors. The first is interpersonal. This is demonstrated for his dual false selves, presented as a perfect son to his father, while systematically tormenting his mother through sophisticated
I thought he was a woman for a second, dog. Like, I thought he was a woman.
Manipulation from early childhood. The second is affective, through his complete empathy deficit observable from infancy as he unalives his sister's guinea pig, his father and sister, then executes a school massacre with zero emotional response or remorse. However, what prevents Kevin from reaching the absolute pinnacle is that the film still plays on certain stereotypes and cultural misnomers about psychopaths and teenage school shooters, adding theatrical elements that slightly compromise pure clinical accuracy. But now, when we raise the bar of psychopathy across each factor higher, we get
Level 6, the Puppet Master.
This is where psychopathy transcends individual manipulation and enters the realm of systemic control. They've climbed legitimate power structures, accumulated resources and loyalties, and positioned themselves where their decisions can affect thousands of lives. Lou Bloom is the perfect embodiment of this level. He manipulates everyone around him and positions himself as a pure parasitic corporate psychopath operating within capitalism's incentive structures. He displays high Factor 1 traits such as self-taught corporate vernacular, superficial charm mimicking business culture, and zero genuine affection beneath rehearsed speech patterns. According to Babiak's research, he demonstrates corporate psychopathic methodology. For example, he views employees as disposable assets, as evident when he lets Rick die to capture better footage and frames it as a business decision. Amon Goethe from Schindler's List is another example that shows how psychopathy can weaponize institutional power. Classified as primary classic idiopathic, Goethe is an SS officer who runs a particular type of camp. His high Factor 1 traits are shown when he maintains positional professionalism while simultaneously embezzling Reich resources and operating slave labor. His relationship with Helen, a Jewish maid, reveals classic psychopathic ambivalence. This is evident from his attraction to her while beating her because he's neurologically incapable of processing emotional connection as anything but dominant submission dynamic. Finally, Alex Delage from A Clockwork Orange sits on this level as a primary classic idiopathic psychopath. Alex achieves systemic influence through organizational leadership and ideological propagation. Alex demonstrates high interpersonal factor through charismatic leadership that maintains gang loyalty despite escalating brutality. The Ludovico technique scene reveals his psychopathy is so deeply embedded that behavioral conditioning fails. What elevates him to level 6 is that he doesn't operate alone. He's created a microsystem where psychopathic values become group culture, like the real case of Charles Manson.
Let Amplify take you where ordinary doesn't dare go.
Where purpose finds passion, it changes circumstances.
But now, let's move on to the cinematic peak of psychopathic portrayals with
Level 7, GOAT.
We've reached the pinnacle of a clinically perfect depiction of a psychopath. According to the Hervé classification system, the combination of primary with classic and idiopathic psychopaths have the highest overall PCLR scores and score high on all three factors. These are primary psychopaths who are born, not made. There's no childhood trauma to explain them and no environmental factors to blame. What elevates this level and separates them from the others is the combination of clinical accuracy, as I just mentioned, but equally as important, the performance and portrayal from the actor. They portray characteristics that forensic psychiatrists watch and recognize as matching real-world psychopaths they've evaluated in prisons and hospitals. Anton Chigurh from No Country for Old Men is what the paper calls a well-designed prototypical idiopathic primary psychopath. What this means is that unlike God-complex psychopaths who construct ideological frameworks, Chigurh offers no philosophy or superiority complex. There simply is nothing about him, from his background to his facial expressions. The paper compares Chigurh to Richard Kuklinski, the Iceman, a real-life contract killer who also killed without emotion. The other character that makes this level is Henry from Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, who is another clinically perfect depiction of a psychopath. Based on real serial killer Henry Lee Lucas, the film strips away every Hollywood convention. The paper highlights that the accuracies are depicted through his lack of insight, a powerful lack of empathy, emotional poverty, and well-illustrated failure to plan ahead. That last part is crucial. When watching the movie, we see Henry is disorganized, impulsive, and leaves bodies in plain sight. Despite this, he doesn't get caught because investigators are looking for motive, pattern, and meaning, and Henry has none of those. Clinical accuracy alone doesn't create unforgettable cinema. That requires acting.
Shout out you guys, what's popping? It's your boy FIEND Tonesicasi 1496. If you guys are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to the channel. We drop content daily and we go live every single day. You know what? You know what I'm talking about. Be sure I get them subs up. New album dropping next week. Dreams. Yes. Yes, new album dropping next week, y'all. Let's see what else we got up here, bro. When the actor is too good at playing what?
Hlale Bhayibhile. Find your zen.
Nice. Where'd you get a new phone?
I got it from Ackermans.
Mads Mikkelsen is one of those rare actors who seems like he was grown in a laboratory to play villains. There's something in the sharpness of his face, the way his eyes flicker between warmth and menace, the cool European cadence of his voice. It all makes him feel otherworldly. Hollywood took one look at him and decided, yeah, this guy is going to redefine what bad guys look like. And while Mikkelsen himself has complained about being typecast, you can't really blame the industry. He's just too good at it. He's the kind of actor who can make you root for a cannibal, sympathize with a Bond villain, or pique your interest as an underdeveloped throwaway villain in the MCU. And that's the strange paradox. He's both trapped by this image and elevated by it, building a career where villainy has become his calling card. I've been looking forward to this one. Let's start where most people first got introduced to him. Casino Royale.
You guys know this
It was a fantastic choice to have him be the Daniel Craig's James Bond's first foil. He's a banker, a financier of terrorism who happens to be simultaneously really bad and really good at gambling with other people's money. Now, I haven't seen every single Bond movie, but I'd say he's top 5 in terms of sheer menace and screen presence. The subtle arrogance, the calm way he calculates odds, and of course, the bloody eye that constantly leaks tears of crimson blood. It's a nice touch. That torture scene where he swings the rope into Bond's Casino Royales, that's a different type of torture from what we usually see in these big-budget action films. Unimaginable pain, the helplessness of being naked and alone in a dark room, the psychological warfare at play because he knows he'll get the information out of you eventually, but he takes pleasure in the resistance, a futile attempt to delay the inevitable reality. He's a villain who's not untouchable but cornered, clawing his way out with intellect and violence. And what really cements Casino Royale as the perfect showcase for Mikkelsen's villainy is how much of the film's weight rests on his shoulders. Le Chiffre isn't immortal, invincible, or even particularly powerful. Even though that's what he portrays to the world, we as the audience know he's desperate. A man balancing on a razor's edge, hiding panic behind every measured word. That's the genius of Mikkelsen's performance. He distracts us as well as the characters into believing that facade of invulnerability. His silences are threatening, his composure unnerving, and when that veneer cracks, when the sweat beads on his forehead at the poker table or when his voice rises in fury during the torture scene, it lands with 10 times the force because of how carefully he's built the tension. Bond may have won in the end, but it's Le Chiffre who defines the tone of the movie. Without Mikkelsen's cool, fractured villain at its center, Casino Royale wouldn't get nearly the same amount of love because the character itself is somewhat shallow. He gave Craig's Bond the perfect foil to sharpen himself against, and in doing so, Mikkelsen stole half the film. From there, he slides into full gothic horror in Hannibal. The role of Hannibal Lecter had already been cemented by Anthony Hopkins, but Mikkelsen took it somewhere entirely different. His Hannibal wasn't a snarling monster in a cage. He was elegance personified. Cultured, charming, even seductive. He cooked elaborate meals, wore immaculate suits, and spoke with the precision of a surgeon. And then, in the same breath, he could disembowel you without breaking a sweat. This performance was terrifying because of how much you wanted to believe him, to sit across from him at the dinner table and be charmed, even as you knew the meat on the plate might not be pork. Mads weaponized his charisma here, turning the idea of a villain into something irresistible. It's the kind of acting that makes you wonder if the scariest thing about evil is that it doesn't always look evil at all. What's even more fascinating is how he
New. Shout out you guys, what's popping? It's your boy FIIE Entintone Sekasi 1496. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to the channel. We drop content daily and we go live every single day. New album dropping next week Friday alongside music videos and a couple more things. I am your 12 notes. Oh! Let's get them subs up, gang. Man, Kendrick did not drop any new albums, man. The fuck this guy talking about? The Science of White Batman never panics. Shout outs.
From Disney and Pixar's Toy Story 5. Sheriff Jesse's in charge now. We've got to save Rex to infinity and beyond. Whoa. Teamwork. New Disney and Pixar's Toy Story 5 toys, each sold separately.
Life isn't one single moment. It's a series of chapters. The joyful ones. The chapters we plan for.
Batman's greatest superpower may not be intelligence or strength, it may be the terrifying level of control he has over his nervous system under pressure. Most people assume composure, a capability like his, is fiction, something you're either born with or not. But what if staying calm in chaos is a skill your brain can learn just like any other? When fear paralyzes others, Batman's mind becomes sharper, and most people have no idea their nervous system can be trained the same way. The real question is, what might you be capable of if you could master that level of control? After a decade of coaching everyone from elite athletes to hordes of kids, I've seen fear stop people in their tracks more times than I can count. I remember one athlete, Isaac, who was training for an international competition, would
like, get to the point, boy.
People truly understand just how good Da Vinci was. His understanding of anatomy was miles beyond.
Currency.
Without smoke, he was getting contact. He would always want to know who
Let's get them subs up, man.
was. Because he smoked and the motherfucking DNA was complete, he knew who the was and he had to tell everybody.
I'm the motherfucker.
Didn't mean to go viral today.
Nah, nigga,
I just came to chill. I just came to chill.
What's up, chat? What's up, chat? Sure, get them subs up, chat. We locked in. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Just reacting to some videos. Right now, the video gonna watch is currency on staying independent, being consistent, and building a brand. I really fuck with currency, so.
Bro, I know you got a lot of cars. You do a whole lot of music. You drop a whole lot of mixtapes. What's your favorite mixtape of all time?
Not nothing. I mean, I don't listen to myself.
You don't?
Yeah.
I don't think that's weird. I don't do it either. I just was I was waiting to meet somebody who get it. I don't even. People always say,
like, you know, I know that's just what they do.
I didn't know that, bro. Like, I wouldn't know that.
I like praying on that when I ain't had, like, if I do get my foot in the door, like, I ain't gonna, like, absorb myself or whatever I did, you know.
Shout out TP.
I did in the studio.
What's
like,
up, bro?
It ain't like it's weird to hear myself.
Yeah.
So answer this question: when you do songs like that, and I know it's hard for me, but you got a hell of a memory. Do you remember? You remember them songs?
Yeah, cause I go, you know, I go with the band.
Shout out TP.
I like to hear the music. So
shout out you guys. Be sure I get them subs up if you're new to the channel. It's your boy FIEND. Dona Sekasi 1496. Wait, let me 1496. Be sure I get them subs up, chat. Let's get them subs up, man.
With me having like the homies that.
Yeah, absolutely
right.
Bro. Yo, bro, did y'all shoot yesterday, dog? Cause I went to the park and y'all niggas were not there. Did y'all end up shooting yesterday, or did you even go to the shoot yesterday, or what? What happened, Brody?
Damn, just sit
I went
around
to the
with them.
park. They said y'all
running,
shooting at Drogi Park. Got there, no one was shooting.
And then it's fun to perform it. So anything
Shout out.
you know, if you want to do something, it
Let's
ain't
get them
shit to you.
subs up.
So I don't even realize I'm trying to put my mind on no shit like that.
I got a different reason. I don't like to hear it because I'm not done yet. You know, like when be like, well, that's
don't retire me
I ain't
yet,
done
nigga.
yet. I'm like, just another page. I'm turning the page. Allow me to turn the page.
I can see that. Like if when I step,
because yesterday, dog, I got over to the park, dog. I ain't seen nobody there, bro. Like I ain't seen nobody there. Shout out to everyone who's new to the channel. Be sure y'all sub out to the channel. Let's get them subs up. I arrived at the park, boy, and there was no one there, bro. So I just assumed that y'all just. Well, I thought you were shooting in another place, but guess y'all didn't shoot, man. Anyway, man, shout out, bro. The work cannot
Wait,
stop, man.
I'm gonna sit down and probably hit.
Shout out,
but
chat. Let's get
like
them
when I
subs
do, if
up.
I hit by mistake, if I'm out somewhere and
Yeah.
the DJ try to show me love, like hey, bro, because they'll play some shit that I for sure either don't remember making or that's not the one I would want them to play or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. That
Like,
happens.
that's what
That
be
happens.
happening. It's like, ooh,
Yeah.
you know,
Bruh,
we
see-
wasn't even mixing down at that point, man. They'll be doing. to
The
me like
older
that.
we got, we you know, and it
didn't
was never
happen. People
disrespectful,
didn't
but
pull
we
up.
just kind of.
Oh shit. Yeah, I saw it was AMT. They'll probably be busy or some shit. Cause you know how people be, man. People be busy and shit. Shout out everyone who's new to the channel and chat, man. Let's get them subs up. Nah, but I get it, dog.
Learn boundaries because we was always in competition, especially me and Jude. Like, you know what I'm saying? If I thought that raps was better than the beat, I changed
Damn.
the beat. If
I
he
saw-
thought the
I
beat
saw how many
was changing
times
in
you
the raps,
changed fucking
I was
back
like, nah,
then.
you ain't
Listen
gonna
on
beat me up. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, but you gotta learn.
I ain't never
that,
know. And I know rappers could do that verse to verse and
Yeah.
still be brothers.
Yeah. But
That's-
it was
that's
it
fucked
wasn't
up.
it wasn't hard
Shout
for
out,
us,
Chet.
but it was
That's fucked
competition
up.
for. He'll
Yeah.
tell you
That's
when everybody
fucked up.
was like,
Ain't even the
listen,
same lane.
we had
bro.
a
You
point.
You got to bust back.
Yeah, we
rap
had a
too
part
good.
where thought we didn't like each other because we was just that competitive.
And
that be
I
like
had to
that. Change the beat. This.
So now
I gotta go
rap.
harder.
I'm a destroy them.
I gotta change it.
He gotta change his rap. And I'm like,
shout out to everyone who's new to the channel, everyone who's tapping in, joining in. We got a studio session stream scheduled for tomorrow, and me still being up at this time, dog. It means I'm gonna wake up probably around 7. Nah, probably gonna wake up at around 10 maybe. So I don't. But we'll see, bro. But tomorrow we're gonna do a studio session. I also have like a couple of joints I wanted to record and all that shit.
Jay, just crying again. Fuck it. No, that would change the beat.
Hey, bro.
You know what I'm saying? But it all worked out because
The outcome always was the same.
We got competitive spirit.
Still sharp and still.
Yeah, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? But I've learned that I could do that with family. I can't do that with everybody. So I've learned sometimes in the room I gotta shut up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because my competitiveness sometimes. If I ain't working with Juvie, I can't tell somebody who don't know me like, hey, bro, this is not the end of this song.
I can see where I might have took it well. Oh, he
Shout
want
out,
to get
y'all.
that beat to somebody else. That's why that took me off it. Like,
Yeah.
you changed the beat.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You thinking, no, I'm about to craft this to this
Yeah.
bars.
Yeah.
And I'm at the crib like,
And sometimes people like,
I'm like, all right, Young Jeezy must have
You
called.
ain't never
him. He
changed
gotta
nothing
get
up.
that bitch
Like
to him,
heard
you
the
know?
beat, like, man, you nigga play something to you, and you like, damn, man, oh, I gotta. Hey, ask him, could I change my?
I just be leaving
feature-
it how it is because if it feel like work with like I do.
So you can
I
sleep
just
with
been
it.
coasting, you
See,
know
I'm
what I'm
fucked
saying?
up. I
Like,
can't. I'm like, that
yeah,
boy
if
Juvie
the-
beat me up on this. I'm like, I gotta go.
If you change the beat, I'ma think you wanted to give it to somebody else, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
as long as my still sit on it the right way, pause, I'ma with it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You gotta be agile
That
for
nigga
some
just
of
paused.
still play that, you know what I'm
That
saying?
nigga
You
just
gotta
paused.
watch it.
But
yeah.
see, that's what I mean. The lines of communication sometimes got to get better. When
Yeah.
you know, like you understand somebody from our era, I'm only doing
I
it because
just-
I
I know
want the
that.
song to be better.
I hear that.
Yeah.
I but swear like
You would have took it as you changed
and this ain't that much of an age gap.
Yeah.
I'm not even on no young dunk.
Yeah.
But I'm close enough to it to where I'm just some kind of way I gotta figure out how I felt played.
Yeah.
Cause it happened.
There-
you know
there's
what I'm
a-
saying? Like
there's
that-
100 songs
that's,
that
that's
happen
a
on
trash.
Cash
That's
Money.
a trash way to think. Though.
But that
That ain't
a
the way. That's not the way. That ain't
1,000
the way.
songs that happened on Cash Money that did not start the way they finished. You
They
see what I'm
did.
saying?
Dig it.
Where I'm like, I don't like that. I'm going to change that. You know what I'm saying? So you got to get somebody to understand the process and when the process works. But I get, I think what's hip hop and this is a happy show, but I got to say this: too many producers. Too many producers on the album.
Come on, man.
Well,
you
yeah,
gonna
you
have
know,
the youngsters coming at
that's
us,
a
man.
lot of what I do
Come
is
on.
I
Bite 'em in there.
I
Come
just
on,
like
Fresh.
in with
Don't do
the
that.
producers. That's
Here
really
you
the way
go.
I do
He-
shit. But
hey, bro.
But
he gon-
you do
Now
need.
I'm finished, Junior.
No.
You need
See-
variety. How many is enough? You can have a producer drive one project
See,
for sure.
3.
But you, all right, nah, that's cool.
3. We clash with this one, me and him all the time.
Yeah.
I keep telling him, you gotta leave. You can't say hip hop is up. Because hip hop is not.
Because of that?
No, man.
Personally, me nowadays it's like when I'm working on like a solo project, I just put a bunch of beats on it. So I could get a beat from my cousin, I can get a beat from Donnie, from Sibu, I can get a beat from all types of people. But sometimes when it comes to like collaborative tapes, like you're gonna hear like one producer, like one sound. Same thing as like Order Farm. Order Farming only has one sound. It's Sibu's sound. Sibu's the one who made the whole entire thing, so it's Sibu's sound. Even the same thing as like the project I'm going to do with Bad Plex. Even that project is like, it's only gonna have like one distinct sound. It's gonna have like that LA hypey type of sound. You know what I'm saying? It's just gonna be that one sound. Then I may have all the other songs just do whatever they gotta do. But like on a solo project, I mix the producers up. But collaborative tapes, I prefer you working with one producer. He's gonna make all the beats, mix and master. Then I'ma just call other people for like the features and shit. Shout out Chepe, show us up.
Man,
you can't say that.
The young cats.
All right.
So the cats who eat, the cats who eating gonna say, the cats who eating gonna say, you hating.
Look,
albums
Look,
albums with too many producers. If you could give me an example of one to where I see like that's why I wasn't. But I do understand locking in with one the most.
Yeah.
Like Dr. Dre do this shit.
Yeah, like working with one producer is good, and also like it depends on like your source. But for me, that doesn't really matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause me, I'm more of a I don't want to say a hit artist per se. You know, because that shit takes away from the rapping. But like, I can basically work with any beats and make like a great song with that. So for me, it's like I should take the best beats I can possibly get, and I make a project with that. Still holding like the same like concept, this like the same messaging. Like I've been doing albums for a long time, so like when it comes to like crafting a project, I can simply craft the project. It's not like an issue or what else. You know what I'm saying? But working with one producer, that's also advantageous, because like when you listen to Order Farming, it just has its own distinct sound. You know what I'm saying? Like we might just lock in for like another Order Farming type of a project type shit with me and my boy, but we'll see as time goes.
And then Daz did something that don't fall too far from the tree. That's
It ain't too many. Can I say this?
Way, you know.
It ain't too many manufacturers of Dr. Dre's.
You
it ain't
right.
Swiss
It's not.
Beats.
It's
It ain't
not.
too many
Y'all
people like that.
Look, y'all create each other, so motherfucker gotta
doing
lock
the whole
in.
albums.
You gotta lock in with the. And y'all gotta fuck with them.
But I'm telling you, my thing is, man, don't start beef with these youngsters, dog. What he trying to say, Jew?
Yeah, I'd advise you not to do that.
What he say?
I feel like this is my point. You should be a fan of something before you with it.
Right.
There's
I
nothing
agree with
wrong with like if you bowed out and say, you know what, bro?
You're right about that.
I really don't know your. I don't. You know, I would respect that. Don't do something that I'm like, man, what the are you doing? Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean that both ways. If you don't with me, cool. Because the world is big enough. But there's so many times where you put somebody in a room where you like, bruh, you Beethoven, and I'm, you know what I'm saying, Nirvana. Why the we doing a song? You know what I'm saying?
Let's get them subs up, Chick.
You know, just to say they did that collab or like
Well,
that.
people got bucket
That's
lists.
all them we work, me and bro
I know I
locked in, we
personally,
working.
as an artist,
Type
as a
deals.
rapper, as a person that got a kick for doing it, you know, we probably don't look at it the same. But from my perspective, I look at it as though I got a bucket list of things I want to do.
I love you having
I
that.
got people
but
that I
the New
want
Orleans
to do
in me don't like you working with nobody. So
Nah, that's not cool.
All right, I'm
That ain't
apologize.
cool because I would like to. I'm pretty sure there was people.
I'm
in
playing,
mind.
bro. I'm playing.
That dead ass serious,
Nah,
y'all.
it's motherfuckers.
He
who
had a
wanna
couple
get
drinks,
deep.
y'all. This serious.
I'm playing.
That's what I like about this show.
Playing.
Let it shine.
See, DistroKid makes it so easy to get your music on all of the streaming.
And I'm a thug with mine.
No jail.
Currency is right here. Anywhere in front, light years. Top of the head. Name 3 spots in New Orleans that people gotta go to. Speaking of your spot. that people got to go to when they come to New Orleans?
You gotta go to the Jet Life store.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta go to.
And speaking of Oakland, we know you're avid. I know you're a smoker.
Look like
It's
a
too
smoker.
long. It's too long for you to be away from weed right now. I know that.
Yeah, I mean, hey, brother, I love y'all. Got a lot of respect for y'all. I got a lot of respect for y'all.
You like you about to rap
When I
this
came
bitch
in
up?
this, I said, so we was smoking this. Right? I asked y'all, cause I'm like, I know these ready. Like I'm like, let's do it. Them boys are like,
That nigga the
I'm
real
like,
smoke
God.
dog. What you talking about?
Nigga, see, he got a
So
whole
look,
sober band.
I couldn't believe that shit. When I saw the earth tones in, like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna be smoking and telling stories in this. And I had to go outside.
That
and
nigga say he saw the earth tones.
I couldn't believe
Wait,
it. I'm
nigga,
like, damn.
not the earth tones,
Thank you.
nigga.
But they had the brown.
that boy
on.
is
They had the
smoking.
brown right
So-
there.
so-
That's not it.
So that's
That's not it.
Yeah,
That's
that
that
ain't it.
brown. This
Yeah,
me.
that's you, boy.
Thank you, sir.
So why
Let
you
me
got
get one of them browns,
This me?
man. Yeah.
This
that's
me,
you.
y'all. This me. Oh,
me too
man.
twice. So my
Oh.
question is, what
God,
made you,
alcohol
so,
tastes
so
so
that's why
delicious.
you got in the marijuana business. 'Cause you got a couple strands, right?
I do. I believe
Let us
we got
know, educate
Fuck
us
y'all
on.
weed.
Yo,
Yo, weed.
See, that's why you said that.
He don't smoke weed.
That's why you
He
said
You
horrible.
absolutely. They should have never gave
It's-
y'all money.
It's always been little ad libs come from you that I know. Like
He
oh, that's
weed
the
hater,
nigga
bro.
and-
He
and-
weed
Hey,
smoker hater.
hey.
He's a weed
You know
hater.
why? Because y'all lie. Both of y'all and all of y'all weed smokers. Y'all look like this from the earth. God made this for
Did
us.
you right?
No.
Where
y'all,
it come from?
Bruh, that was not supposed to be that.
All right, stop.
It wasn't
Look,
designed
look,
for y'all
look,
to smoke.
stop, stop,
But I'm
stop.
going to let y'all
No,
smoke.
let me show you.
All right, show me.
This is something I want you to do with your phone,
All right.
computer, when you get away from us. Look at the DNA construct.
Okay.
That diagram, okay?
All right.
There's a block missing, and the shape of the block that's missing is the shape of the derivative of THC.
Okay.
It fits directly into it.
Yeah, into the chart.
So
the
if
chart
anything-
table.
All right.
Right. Why didn't they put that in the table?
If anything,
He right.
Go ahead.
we are more complete and whole with ourselves than you, because you missing a Lego block.
Y'all
Nah, me
is a
too.
crazy
Lock in,
cult.
y'all.
That's the.
Fucking locked in, boy.
But
It
I
sounds
respect
like,
y'all.
it sounds like somewhere gonna dress
He
the
calling
same
it a
and
cult
wait for a
now.
space
No
jam.
free days,
But
bitch.
it's a real thing. If you go look this
All
up,
right, I'm going to
fit. So look,
All right.
imagine the cars you would build.
Okay.
Imagine, dog. I with your verses too.
For
Imagine
sure.
the verses you would pen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you fit that piece in there.
All right.
That's why this can make who's the because it fits right into it. If that block was missing,
That nigga
nobody
with
would
the-
have did that.
That makes sense.
And if
I-
anybody skipped that song, it's because it's missing from their thing.
All
You feel
right.
me?
Nigga, man, who's
That it had to be right there for to make that. That's how that works.
So it couldn't have been that it was a bowl of weed right there, and y'all was just smoking so much that, like, you know what? Who is the
But fresh,
motherfucker?
we used to smoke weed in the studio.
He
You
knew-
was
no.
getting contacts.
Without
that-
smoking,
he was getting
he
contact.
would always want to know who the was. Because he smoked and the mother DNA was complete, he knew who the was, and he had to tell everybody.
I'm the motherfucker.
I didn't mean to go viral today. I just
No,
came to
viral.
chill.
No,
I just came to chill, but that is what it is, dog.
Hey man,
Yeah,
hey,
it
and so many words.
That's it.
I'm the,
Yeah, he told you.
Yes.
Who's the? He answered as he asked.
Listen, Martin
give me
Luther
some.
Currency, you have won tonight.
All right, because I'm not missing the label.
Listen,
dog.
if
I
you
smoked
could,
2 joints
I'm
before I
that
walked
person.
in to come tell you what the time it was, dog.
I came here to tell
wait, you wait, hold up.
to deliver me.
Yeah,
Right there, I
you
kept
smoked
putting it
2
behind my
joints?
back.
Currency
So I ain't scared of
delivered.
people coming out the restaurant
Currency
like, man, I
delivered.
don't want this
You had to
situation
smoke
up.
2 of them.
Yeah, I smoked 2 right there. Motherfucker was plugging up the keyboard in. They're like, man, we appreciate your patience. I'm like, nah, I appreciate y'all not having the amp and not having the wire. I just want to smoke another joint anyway. Kept thanking me for my patience. Y'all just let me smoke more. I wasn't tripping.
Stupid, man. See, I
So it's
spoke
safe
too
to say
much.
I'm gonna let y'all have y'all world. Just let me have my world. Let
Hey,
me mix up.
yeah, bro,
let me
stop-
make my
stop
drink.
that, bro, stop
I ain't gonna
that.
judge no more.
You know what I'm
Currency
saying?
changed me. I'm a changed man today.
What if I came to old folks' home and knock over your checkerboard?
Hey, I'm gonna get a drink.
That's the see
That's
what I'm
all
saying?
I'm gonna do. Like
That's
you
the
gonna get
same shit.
you gonna smoke. You gonna be like, nothing don't bother me.
Kick over your domino table.
But I don't know, man. You don't get like drunk and then draw or write.
Who you ever got high before where you was just like, I shouldn't have done this?
My baby mama, daddy.
I got high with that nigga.
Shazam! Your baby mama daddy.
Look.
But I got high with you one time. Matt Ballard made it back. I was trying to be cool. I was just trying to keep smoking. With
Nah,
that.
that's my favorite thing to do.
I walked about that.
Favorite thing to do would be to try
I said,
to-
that was trying to do me in.
Like, boy, you trying
I
to play
knew
with
it.
me?
I said, man,
I can tell. I can tell because
That
he'd
nigga
be
gave
like,
me an
look,
envelope.
I'm about to
came
sit
out-
in here and watch this whole movie with
Bro,
you. Yeah, you is.
Yup, there it is.
Yeah,
Came
you
out with
is, big dog.
Different
You know.
color envelopes of weed. He said, oh, this. And lit that. Then he came out.
Yeah, you
I
is.
said, man,
You
this
know,
trying to
that
That
smoke
boy
me
gave
under
you.
Hey, tell me what
I
he
said,
gotta
bro, I
do
just came to
before
get
he
a
come in
little
the door.
weed from you,
I gotta
dog.
go do this, gotta do this.
I kept coming over there.
For sure.
I was
For
coming
sure.
over there. I
For
made
sure,
every
you
excuse
get right there.
to get out. I rolled out there.
Why can't Parmesan and balsamic just be made anywhere? Only one way to find out. What's the difference?
Brushing and flossing only start the job. Listerine finishes it, delivering 5 times the...
Boy, right. Boy, you about to watch Superfly.
Man, this man-
You about to watch
He did.
fucking Will. Might not.
Listening to right now. What music inspire you right now?
Shout out
Mary
to
Love,
What's good?
Power of Your Love from the Dolomite soundtrack.
Okay.
It's really good.
Shout out Kyle. What's good, bro? I'm very well. How you
The
doing
movie,
yourself, bro?
all right, the movie's the movie.
See, he went
it's a
old movie
comedy.
again. This-
It's a
old movie
comedy
again.
because bro did what he could do with what
I
he
like
had.
Petey We Start.
But the music behind it, because he wanted to prove a point to Hollywood,
Yeah.
he made sure he had the best music
Yeah.
in that movie. I
Yes.
don't care if you saw the boom mic while they was trying
While
to
they was
talk
filming it, 'cause
and
it was-
shit.
but it
He
was- but it
had
had
the
good-
best
good
fucking
music.
sounding
Yeah,
music
it did.
you could have in the movie because he was trying to prove a point. And that record is incredible. And on YouTube, there's 5 different versions of it. Acapella, just with drums, just with drums,
Yeah.
just
What
with
time
bass
is it? Where
guitar,
you from, King?
like
What
that.
time
So,
is it?
like if y'all don't know that record, check
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And
It's
even
very crazy for
check out
My band
Dolomite.
kinda
You know what
young,
I'm
man.
saying?
I don't know.
That's a black exploitation
Themselves
movie,
up,
but
Chance.
They might know that
Dolomite
shit.
kind of
It might.
Yeah.
That's why I say if you don't,
Nah,
you don't.
them boys.
But it's
man,
a pure
yo.
record because it played during the love scene in Dolomite. And if you've seen the movie, you know it's ridiculous. He apparently was so
Yeah.
crazy in the bed, all the furniture fell apart,
Yeah.
the walls crumbled,
Nah, Dolomite was a
the
dog. on this
structure of
movie.
the
He
building
cursing the-
fell apart because he was
I'll
so
jump
crazy.
off the
Like,
roof
come
in
on.
your ass.
So you
Yeah.
would lose the music. You
Yeah.
wouldn't even realize it was that good of a
Yeah.
song. But the music is amazing. You know, so yeah.
So if you had to tell this generation one song that they should have in their playlist, it ain't gotta be rap. It ain't gotta be, just something that you like. This is the song that you should have in your
I can
playlist.
only have one.
You can have two.
All right, because I would want to do. All right.
Yeah. Actually, you can have a few. If you-
Ordinary Guy by Joe
Ordinary.
Bataan.
Yeah, but you want to say these are songs.
Touch maxing. Is there even such a thing called touch maxing? Everything out here, bro, is maxing everything. The fuck is that? killed by ego. What's good, chat? What's good, chat? We're still locked in, bro. Cause what's better? What's better than you to lock in? What's up, y'all? This guy's still on stream.
Breakdown on the N1? Good thing you're naked and can call a tow truck anytime on the Naked app. Get naked.
People are starved.
Let's keep it pushing P. Out Sauce Walk. Sauce Walk. Shout out chat. Do y'all know Sauce Walk? I don't know nothing about Sauce Walk. Four days ago, we dropped a video. Sauce Walker's really outside, bro. Like, no fucking way, mate. No fucking way. Wait, let me see his catalog real quick. I know Sauce Walker got a huge catalog. I wanna check this shit out real quick. Shout out Chubby Shy, get them subs up. Shank with the other 3 or 4 bounty hunt. Where is his music channel? There is a channel that releases like the music exclusively, but I don't know where I find it. Shino, I'm a plumber, 3 or 4 bounty hunt. No, I can't find it. Shino, I'm a plumber, 3 or 4 bounty hunt. Please don't steal my vibe. Bitch, don't kill my vibe. Why am I saying please don't steal my vibe? Bitch, don't steal my vibe. Shout out, chat. Thank y'all for tuning in. Shino, I'm a plumber, 3 or 4 bounty hunter. Shout out chat, be sure to get themselves up if y'all new to the channel. Shino, I'm a plumber, 3 or 4 bounty hunter. chat. Shout out chat. Be sure I'll sub up. Let's get them subs up, chatty. Yo, guys, he's also cool as fuck. Shino, I'm a plumber, 3 or 4, Bonnie. Shout out, y'all. I mean, having a gold pass in GTA kind of sucks, though. I don't see no new Kendrick though. Why is he lying? Shino, I'm a plumber, 3 or 4, Brownie, sauce, got that gold dripping water. There's nothing left here, bruh. Like, there's nothing left here, bro. Like, really. If you're keeping it a buck and a bean. How many songs does Sauce Walker have? Let me check this shit out real quick. Sauce Walk. Sauce Walker was on Stop Snitching. No, I want to check out his own catalog. So that's the same. So they say he didn't drop an album. Oh, Splat Mafia, there you go. Not the album. This shit cannot. Sugar. Shino, I'm a 3 or 4 bounty. The boy has a lot of albums. 2025, he dropped 2 albums. 2024, he dropped. How many albums did he drop? This is the latest one. Yo, Yo, 21 songs. 14. Wait, did she just... No. It's not yet. Shino, I'm a plumber, 3 or 4, County Hunt, Boy, so we dropped 2 albums. Every failed comeback of 2026 so far.
Stand a chance to win your share of 400,000 Rand in prizes with Stimroll. T's and C's apply.
Good, Rosie.
Being part of the running community, it's so special.
We're all coming together for the love of running. We give hope to people that think
2026 was supposed to be the year of big pop returns, but it has become hard to stand out in today's music climate. In this video, we'll look at every failed comeback of 2026 so far. Ari Lennox. Ari Lennox first rose to prominence after she signed to J. Cole's Dreamville Records, where she carved out a space as one of the most promising neo-soul and alternative R&B voices of her generation. Her debut album Shea Butter Baby in 2019 was a critical and commercial success, peaking at number 44 on the Billboard 200, while earning praise for its smooth production and vulnerable songwriting. She built a strong cult following with singles like Whipped Cream and Shea Butter Baby, but her chart legacy remained relatively modest compared to mainstream R&B stars, with her highest Hot 100 entry peaking at number 48 and her biggest hit Pressure becoming a decent lasting hit back in 2022. After years of publicly voicing frustration over Dreamville's promotion of her music, Ari parted ways with the label and returned independently on January 23, 2026 with her third studio album Vacancy. The project was positioned as a fresh start, but it failed to connect with a broader audience. It debuted at a disappointing number 170.
I didn't know that she dropped an album. I didn't know that.
22 on the Billboard 200, marking her first album to miss the upper half of the chart, only selling 9,000 units in the first week. The commercial underperformance of Vacancy highlighted the challenges independent R&B artists face in 2026. Despite decent streaming numbers among core fans, the album couldn't break through. Critics thought it was solid, but it couldn't succeed in this climate, marking Ari's comeback a failure. LMA burst onto the global scene in 2018 with her breakout hit Boot Up, which peaked at number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100 and established her as a leading voice in modern R&B. She followed up with strong singles like Trip and Shot Clock, and her self-titled debut album achieved solid commercial success, cementing her as one of the most promising new artists. Her chart legacy includes multiple top 20 hits, but she struggled to replicate the massive dominance of her early breakthrough era. On February 6, 2026, LMA released Do You Still Love Me, her third studio album, and the follow-up to 2022's Heart on My Sleeve. The album was a deeply personal project, created in collaboration with longtime producer Mustard, as she attempted to rediscover her signature sound, following becoming a mother in 2024. Despite the push, the album only peaked at number 44 on the Billboard 200, moving just 18,000 equivalent units in its first week. The underperformance of Do You Still Love Me shows the current reality of the R&B market, where even established names struggle to sustain attention. While the genre had an amazing 2025, with the success of artists like Kehlani and Leon Thomas, it is still an underground genre, even though she succeeded to get back into the public eye. LMA's comeback couldn't reclaim her position among the top R&B artists of her generation. Gnarls Barkley. Gnarls Barkley made an explosive impact in the mid-2000s with their genre-blending sound. The duo of CeeLo Green and Danger Mouse dropped their 2006 debut Sent Elsewhere and was a big success, driven by the classic smash hit Crazy, which peaked at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became one of the most iconic songs of the decade. They followed it up with The Odd Couple in 2008, which debuted at number 12 on the Billboard 200, though they weren't able to fully escape the shadow of their breakthrough single. After an 18-year hiatus, Gnarls Barkley finally returned on February
18 years, boy. Yeah, you gotta be playing, boy. Trying to pull a Frank Casino on us, boy.
26, 2026, announcing their third and final album, Atlanta. The album dropped on March 6, 2026, with the lead single Pictures generating some initial curiosity. However, the project ultimately failed to chart on the Billboard 200 entirely, marking a quiet and largely ignored comeback. The lack of impact from Atlanta underscores how much the music industry has changed since Gnarls Barkley's peak. While the duo's experimental sound was revolutionary in the 2000s, they struggled to find relevance in today's music landscape, making their return after a long hiatus a failure.
18 years is too long.
Jack Harlow. Jack Harlow first broke into the mainstream in 2020 with his hit single What's Poppin', which peaked at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 and earned him a Grammy nomination. He solidified his place in hip-hop with his 2022 album Come Home The Kids Miss You, which debuted at number 3 on the Billboard 200 and spawned the number 1 single First Class. His 2023 project Jackman further showcased his growth as a lyricist, debuting at number 8 and earning critical praise as he was supposed to be the next rap superstar. After nearly 3 years away from a full project, he returned on March 13, 2026 with his fourth studio album Monica, released on his 28th birthday. The album was a huge switch up considering the momentum he built with singles like Lovin' On Me and Just Us. He took a risk going full neo-soul on the album, which opened him up to endless memes. Despite the rollout, Monica proved to be a major disappointment. The album debuted at a dismal number 40 on the Billboard 200 with only 19,000 units sold in his first week. He caught a lot of flack from his press run, where he said he went blacker on the album. The project faded quickly from public conversation, and the risk he took did not pay off. Justine Skye. Justine Skye began her career as a teenager, gaining early attention with a viral cover of Drake's Headlines. She then released her first mixtape Sky High in 2012 and scored placements on Big Show.
Wait, somebody's...
After signing with Rock Nation and Republic Records, she dropped her debut album Ultraviolet in 2018, which peaked at number 16 on the R&B sales chart, followed by the Timbaland-produced Space and Time in 2021. But she never lived up to the potential she seemed to have early in her career. After taking time away from music, she returned in March 2026 with her new EP Candy. The project was meant to mark her official comeback and reintroduce her to a new generation of R&B listeners. However, the EP failed to generate any meaningful buzz. The numbers tell a harsh story. Candy did not chart on any major Billboard charts, and her new singles are struggling to reach even 50,000 views on YouTube. And her biggest song from the project has barely crossed 7 million streams on Spotify. What was supposed to be a strong return has instead become another example of how difficult it has been for her to stand out throughout her career. Charlie Puth. Charlie Puth rose to massive fame in the mid-2010s with smooth pop hits like See You Again, which topped charts worldwide, and Attention, which peaked at number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100. His albums 9-Track Mind and Voice Notes both achieved strong commercial success, even reaching number 2 on the Billboard 200. He built a reputation as a consistent hitmaker and a gifted, pitch-perfect producer, known for crafting radio-friendly pop records. After stepping back from the spotlight, Charlie announced his new album Whatever's Clever in late 2025.
Why do these people always want to take a break? then expect the first thing to be a massive success. No, you gotta keep your foot on their necks, man. Only take a break when it's time to retire, gang.
Aside the single changes, the project was delayed slightly and finally dropped on March 27, 2026. The rollout coincided with his wife's pregnancy, which added extra media attention heading into the release. Despite the build-up, the album landed at number 46 on the Billboard 200 with a disappointing 18,000 first-week units. Many critics described the project as forgettable and lacking the breakout singles that defined his earlier success. Charlie Puth's comeback has been labeled as one of the quietest disappointments of 2026. Sway Lee. Sway Lee rose to fame as one half of the rap duo Ray Shremmerd alongside his brother Slim Jimmy. The pair broke through in 2015 with hits like No Type and Black Beatles, which went on to top the Billboard Hot 100 after the Mannequin Challenge. Sway Lee then became one of the most sought after featured artists, delivering smooth melodic hooks on massive tracks including French Montana's Unforgettable and Post Malone's Sunflower, both of which have been certified diamond in the US. His 2018 solo mixtape Swaycation solidified him as a solo artist. In early 2026, after years of teasing a full solo project, Sway Lee finally released his second studio album Same Difference on April 3. The singles couldn't gain any traction, and despite decent pre-release buzz thanks to his media run, the album itself failed to debut on the Billboard 200 entirely, marking a quiet and disappointing return for an artist known for being a hitmaker. The failure of Same Difference highlights the challenges of transitioning from a feature killer to solo headliner in today's oversaturated streaming era. While Sway Lee's signature melodic style has been influential, he has struggled in his solo career. MIA. MIA emerged in the mid-2000s with her unique sound, her 2005 debut Arular, and especially 2007 Scala, with the single Paper Planes peaking on number 4.
She's way too old. I'm sorry, but she's way too old.
On the Billboard Hot 100 and earning a Grammy nomination for Record of the Year became her defining song. She scored another hit with Bad Girls in 2013 and even reached number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 as a featured artist on Travis Scott's Franchise in 2020. Known for her politically charged lyrics, she built a cult following as one of the most experimental artists of her generation. After a 4-year gap since her 2022 album Mata, MIA returned on April 17, 2026 with MI7 on her independent label. The project, framed as a gospel album, featured 7 tracks recorded across 7 countries in 7 days. However, the album failed to chart anywhere, getting minimal mainstream attention, compounding the commercial disappointment. MIA was removed from Kid Cudi's tour following controversial outbursts directed at the crowd and comments involving immigrants. MIA has struggled to find her identity for years now, as her story of controversy continues to shape public perception of her comebacks. Vanessa Carlton. Vanessa Carlton first exploded onto the music scene in 2002 with her debut single 1,000 Miles.
2002, you were already in the music business. Sure.
Peaked at number 5 on the Hot 100 and became an undeniable classic. Her debut album Be Not Nobody was certified platinum in the US, establishing her as one of the voices of the early 2000s. However, after a string of moderately successful albums, she stepped away from the spotlight for several years, focusing on independent releases and personal projects before attempting a major return. In April 2026, she released Veils, her 7th studio album. The project marked her first full-length release since 2020's Love is Art. Despite receiving some positive reviews, the album did not chart on the Billboard 200, marking one of the quietest releases of her career. The commercial disappointment of Veils highlights the difficult reality many 2000s pop stars face today. While her classics still get streams, her newer material is not making any impact. Akon. Akon rose to global stardom in the mid-2000s as both a solo artist and a hitmaker for others. His 2004 debut, Trouble, produced...
I don't understand artists who take like long consolidated braids. I don't get y'all niggas. Shout outs. The fuck? What's his name? Mark Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg was supposed to be one of the safest bets in Hollywood. By 2010, he had everything the industry looks for. The Departed, The Fighter, Ted, a string of hits that made him a reliable action comedy star, a producing empire, a net worth pushing $400 million. Then he walked away from the franchises that worked and started making movies no one asked for. Almost overnight, Mark Wahlberg stopped feeling like a guaranteed draw and started becoming a punchline. Box office analysts stopped predicting hits. Studios stopped offering big theatrical deals. And somehow, despite starring in some of the biggest franchises of the 2000s, the conversation around Wahlberg shifted from how much will it open to why does he keep bombing? That's the part that never made sense, because this wasn't just bad luck. It was a slow, uncomfortable pattern of bad choices, mismatched personas, and budgets that made no financial sense. And that pattern never really stopped. The strange part is that the bombing didn't begin with Infinite. In many ways, it began years before, with a series of decisions that Hollywood kept ignoring because Wahlberg kept getting paid. And to understand why Mark Wahlberg's movies keep bombing, we need to go back to the exact moment his career stopped being a sure thing. Wrong genre choices. The first and most obvious problem is what Mark Wahlberg keeps choosing to make: mid-budget action thrillers, the kind of movie that used to open at #1 in 2004, the kind that now goes straight to streaming, or worse, limps into theaters, gets ignored, and disappears in 2 weeks. Take Infinite, 2021. A $170 million sci-fi action film directed by Antoine Fuqua. Wahlberg plays a schizophrenic man who discovers his hallucinations are actually memories from past lives, and he must stop a madman from destroying the world. On paper, big budget, big director, big star. In reality, the film was dumped on Paramount Plus after COVID delays, but the theatrical numbers it would have posted tell the story. The few markets where it did play earned peanuts. The reported production cost ballooned to $170 million. Add marketing, which Paramount quietly pulled because they knew, and the total loss exceeded $100 million. Infinite was so bad that even Wahlberg himself barely promoted it. Then there's Mile 22, 2018. Wahlberg as an elite CIA operative in a gritty, shaky cam action mess from director Peter Berg. Budget, $35 million. Worldwide gross, $66 million. That sounds okay until you realize studios keep roughly half of ticket sales. The break-even point was around $70 to $80 million. Mile 22 came up short. Rotten Tomatoes, 22%. Critics called it exhausting, joyless, and a franchise starter that no one wants to continue. They were right. No sequel came. The Gambler, 2014, is another perfect example. A remake of a 1970s drama with Wahlberg as a literature professor with a gambling addiction. Budget, $25 million. Gross, $39 million. Break even? Probably needed $50 to $55 million. Another loss. And here's the thing. The Gambler wasn't even bad. It was fine. But fine doesn't get butts in seats when you're competing against The Hunger Games and Guardians of the Galaxy. The pattern is brutally simple. Wahlberg keeps signing up for mid-tier action and drama films that would have cleaned up in 2005. But it's not 2005 anymore. Audiences now save their theater trips for events. Marvel, Top Gun Maverick, Avatar, The Way of Water, and Barbie. Everything else gets the couch. And Wahlberg's movies aren't bad enough to be campy or good enough to be essential. They're just there. But genre mismatch is only the beginning. Because even when Wahlberg picks the right genre, he still manages to pick the wrong version of himself. His persona doesn't fit modern blockbusters. Let's be honest about something Hollywood refuses to admit. Mark Wahlberg has one screen persona. The tough, sarcastic, blue-collar Boston guy who's smarter than everyone else and not afraid to throw a punch. It worked beautifully in The Departed. It worked in Ted. It even worked in the Transformers movies because those films didn't require emotional range. They required a guy who could look confused while robots exploded. But that persona has a shelf life. Here's the problem. Modern blockbusters succeed on two things: genuine vulnerability or self-aware humor. Think of Ryan Reynolds. His entire brand is knowing he's in a joke. Dwayne Johnson? He pivoted from grim action hero to charismatic, eyebrow-wiggling dad energy. Tom Cruise? He runs. Literally runs. But Cruise also lets himself be scared, beaten, humiliated, and then triumphant. There's an arc. Wahlberg doesn't do arcs. He does variations of the same guy. The guy who's already tough, competent, and already annoyed. In Mile 22, he's a rage-filled operative who shouts at everyone. In Infinite, he's a brooding chosen one. In The Gambler, he's a smug intellectual who happens to also be physically intimidating. Even in Father Stu, his passion project about a boxer turned priest, he plays a guy who starts tough, stays tough, and dies tough. Compare that to The Mummy with Brendan Fraser. Fraser was goofy, charming, and self-deprecating. He stumbled, fell, got scared, and still saved the day. Wahlberg would have played that role as the most competent guy in the tomb, and the movie would have bombed. One critic put it perfectly after Infinite came out. Mark Wahlberg plays every character like he's just been interrupted while reading the newspaper. That's the problem. Audiences don't want to watch a guy who's already won. They want to watch a guy who might lose. Wahlberg's persona refuses to lose. And when he does lose, the loss feels like a technicality rather than an emotional gut punch. The evidence is in the box office numbers of his contemporaries. The Rock's Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, and Jumanji, The Next Level reboots made nearly $2 billion combined because he was funny and scared. Free Guy made $331 million on a $110 million budget because Ryan Reynolds played an underdog. Wahlberg's Instant Family, 2018, actually performed decently, $120 million on $48 million, but he abandoned that lane immediately and went back to scowling at cameras. Hollywood keeps hiring the scowling version. The audience keeps ignoring it. But persona problems are only half the equation. Because even if Wahlberg found the right character, his movies still carry a price tag they can't justify.
Phone cracked while vlogging? Good thing you're naked and can submit claims in minutes on the Naked app. Get naked.
Daydream when you take me where I've
Find your dream.
Budget mismatch. Mark Wahlberg gets paid a lot. We're talking $20 million up front for
I'm with Noel like I'm Chris Kringle.
The Sydney funnel web is often called the most venomous spider in the world. Not only is this not true, but it's not even the most venomous spider in Australia. And I don't mean the new species found in Newcastle recently either. Turns out, the world of funnel webs is a lot more than just large, aggressive, venomous spiders from Australia with deadly bites. Just like an iceberg, there's a whole lot more hiding beneath the surface. And the deeper we get into funnel web biology, the weirder these spiders get, and the scarier their venom becomes. By the end of this video, you'll understand why you're not safe from these deadly spiders just because you don't live in Australia. And you'll probably never see these guys, or spiders as a whole, the same ever again. And it turns out we actually haven't known much about these spiders at all for a very long time. Of the 38 species from the family Atracidae, very little is known about most of them. In fact, quite a few of them you can't even find photos online. The most infamous of them, the Sydney funnel web, was poorly understood until a little less than a century ago, and technically the fact that it was split into 3 species just over a year ago tells us that even the best known funnel web spiders are still relatively poorly understood. In fact, until 1927, we thought the males and females of this species were 2 very different spiders. And it wasn't until February of 1927 that we actually had any reason to look closer.
So I'm hearing the laptop, I think.
And better understand these arachnids. And that reason, like many of the reasons we end up having to take closer looks at these spiders, was quite tragic. What is known as the Thornley bite case. In February of 1927, a young boy was playing with a large black spider in a suburb of Sydney known as Thornley. This spider bit the young boy, and as a result, the little kid got very sick very quickly and died later that day. Police who investigated the incident brought that spider to a museum scientist named Anthony Musgrave, who identified the spider as a known species called Euctemena tibialis. But, like with many cases where somebody dies to a spider's bite, Musgrave decided to investigate a little bit closer. Morphological cues from the spider collected at the scene led Musgrave to realize that this was not in fact Euctemena tibialis, but the male of another spider that had been described in the late 1800s known as Atrax robustus, the Sydney funnel web. The Sydney funnel web is now the most infamous of the Australian funnel webs. Large subterranean spiders that belong to the family Atracidae, found only in Australia.
Let's close off the stream. I'll see you guys when I see you guys. I need to go sleep. Bye bye bye.